Plaintiff Debbie Neville is suing her ex-daughter-in-law, 29-year-old Sarah Hubel, for defamation of character, slander, and lost wages.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Neville versus Hubel. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Neville, Miss Hubel?
Yes.
Is your former daughter-in-law?
Correct.
She and your son have been divorced for 5 years? How many children do you have?
Just one.
How old is that child?
He's 9.
All right, now, Miss Neville, I have a few questions for you. While Miss Hubel was married to your son, did you get along?
Yeah.
Did she come over to your house for dinner?
Well, actually, they lived with me till he was like, almost 2.
So she lived with you?
Correct.
Must have gotten along.
Yes, we did.
And when they moved out into their own place, did they still come back with your grandson?
Correct. I babysat him when they worked, whenever they went out.
But then the marriage went south.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your former daughter-in-law has embarked upon a campaign of harassment, slander, defamation of your character that has gone on for a very long time. You want her to pay for that. Ms. Hubel says quite the contrary. When she was in the midst of a custody battle with your son, you called Child Protective Services on her often. You've harassed her over the years with complaints to Child Protective Services and the police.
Oh, yes.
And as a result of that, she's filed a counterclaim. When did the trouble start with Miss Hubel?
My son was taking my younger son, Dylan, and Jeffrey back to drop him off at his mother's work, the daycare. I was in between my bus routes. I'm a school bus driver. It was pouring down rain. He doesn't drive. So I ran down and gave them a ride up the hill about 1,500 feet to the daycare and dropped him off in front. And my grandson was ecstatic. Grandma dropped him off in the bus. I wasn't on my route. He ran in and I saw him gather all the kids that came to the window and they're all waving at me. So I smiled and waving at him. She walked over and slapped him and told him to get away from the window. I'm sorry. My older son was there, and they turned from the window. Her and the employees that worked, who were friends of hers, said, "Let's call the school district and get her in trouble." I didn't know what was going on at the time. I went back on my route. I get a phone call on my bus. My supervisor goes, "Debbie, what's going on?" I go, "I don't know what happened." She said, "Some lady called and said you kidnapped her kid on her bus." And I said, "No, the only thing I did was pick up my grandson and my son." I was mortified.
So that's when the trouble started. What happened with that incident, Miss Hubel?
Actually, what had happened was, after numerous amount of times of her dropping Jeffrey off on the school bus without permission, I had called the school district and spoke to her supervisor, with whom I have a letter stating that I was not harassing in any way, and that she was spoken to and told that he was not allowed to ride that school bus because he was not assigned that.
Okay. Had you, in the past, told your mother-in-law that you didn't want him riding the school bus?
No, we were not to be speaking at that time.
Why not?
There was orders.
So that the trouble started before that?
Oh, yes.
Well, then that's what I'm asking. I want to know when the trouble started.
The problem started actually before I left Joshua, my ex-husband. Probably it was the first time that he was arrested for assaulting me. My son was 2 at the time. From that point on, there was no kindling of the relationship with me and Debbie.
Okay. How many times had he been arrested for assaulting you?
Twice for assaulting me. The last time he slammed me into a wall and tore my rotator cuff, and I had to have surgery.
Has he been convicted on...
He sure has.
Did he serve any jail time?
Yes, he did.
How long?
He was sentenced to 30 days, but he ended up having an ankle bracelet because of whatever kind of medication he was taking. They wouldn't allow in the jail.
What kind of medication does he take?
Marinol.
What is that for?
I don't. All I know is it's THC in a pill. I don't know what it's for.
What kind of ailment does he have?
None that I'm
Do you
aware
know?
of.
Yes.
What?
He has a cancerous esophagus. He has a heart condition, and he has epileptic seizures. So
Okay.
he's on...
You didn't tell me he was convicted of assaulting his former wife.
I need to clear something up.
Uh-huh.
Number one, the lease was in my name. I rented the building because it gave them an opportunity to have their own place.
I'm not interested in that. My
Okay.
question, Ms. Neville, is I asked you when the trouble began, and what you said was it started over this bus incident, which would have sounded really petty to me.
Yeah.
For her to file a complaint if she had a problem with you. You would all live together, pick up the phone and say, Debbie, I don't want you dropping Jeffrey off on the bus. But that didn't happen.
Correct.
So the problem started before. And common sense would indicate to me you would have not been happy with your son's arrest for assault and spending any time in jail. And that probably precipitated the bad feeling between the two of you, which predated the school bus incident.
No, did it? She misled you on that fact.
No,
So what you're saying is the assault occurred before the school bus incident.
Oh, yes, this was before we were divorced. The first incident was before we were divorced. The second incident was in February of 2003.
And when was the school bus incident?
January 30th, 2003.
What was the second assault about?
He came into where I worked, All About Kids, to do a visitation with my son. He came to pick up Jeffrey, and he slammed me into the door jamb of a wall and tore my rotator cuff, took off with Jeffrey. The police came. They went and found Josh and Jeffrey.
What was the altercation about?
A coat. A coat.
Now, I understand that you don't like each other. Don't like each other, I don't get involved in. You claim lost wages and punitive damages for defamation of character.
Correct.
You have 1 minute.
She called my boss. I have documentation when she called, and they logged it over to my boss. There's no mention that she's my daughter-in-law, that that's my grandson, or my sons that I'm picking up. It says that unknown people and her son. He was on a visitation with him, and his father gave permission for him to ride the bus. So I have permission to give him a ride on my bus when
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if there is a court order of visitation, the court order of visitation provides that the child is to be picked up and returned at a specific location.
Correct.
Not by you.
Not by me.
But by his father.
And his father was on my bus. Let me explain, okay?
No. I want you to tell me what the lawsuit is about.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, I go back, I talk to my boss. My boss says, get an anti-harassment order because we don't want to deal with this problem. I did. I went before a judge.
All you had to do was stop taking your grandson off the road that you were supposed to be traveling with other children and not drop him off at the daycare.
Well, I hadn't had an opportunity not to do that.
But, Miss Neville.
I did what
Miss
the officer
Neville.
told me.
No.
The judge.
That's, first of all, that's hearsay.
Excuse me.
Listen to me.
Explain this. You're twisting this.
I'm not twisting anything.
You are.
Now listen to me.
She's saying there was a DV assault, but they had got reconciled. They got together. They moved out. They left. She got caught cheating, having an affair with a high school kid.
Listen to me carefully. All you had to do.
Well, she doesn't mention that to you.
Just
I mean,
a second.
come on.
I'm
I wanna
talking
get
about
all-
you and your lawsuit,
Okay.
which I'm going to lose my temper over in a couple of seconds.
Well, I've had to deal with it for 5 years. How do you...
You don't get 5 years' worth, madam. What you're going to tell me is about lost wages.
Correct.
And punitive damages for defamation of character and slander. Get there.
What it had to do with is the whole school year of 2000 and 2004, she continued to make attacks on my person by making claims that my grandson's scared of me. She wrote the school this. She tried to get me removed from my school route by writing the school district.
Show me.
This is the statement, one letter that she wrote.
Okay, so after you stopped bringing him to the daycare, and there was no problem with that, she wrote this to the school.
Correct.
And you claim that this is harassment. I want to know what this is a legal claim.
Yeah, she claimed she didn't want Jeffrey to speak to me or be near me, that he was scared of me.
Okay. She contacted the school, to whom it may concern. You sent this to the elementary school? And it merely says that she does not want, for whatever reason, which she outlines here, she doesn't want Debbie Neville to contact him while he's at school.
Your Honor, the reason why is because there was an incident with Debbie and my son Jeffrey at the school. I have a letter from his principal in regards to that, as well as a letter from my son's therapist that he's been seeing since kindergarten regarding the incident.
The therapist in September of 2003, and I don't want to go back there, says it's best for him not to have contact with you. Okay. Get to 2005.
Okay.
I want to hear how you have a lawsuit against Miss Hubel for lost wages and defamation of character.
Okay.
This is not a therapy session,
I know.
Miss Neville.
I know.
This is a lawsuit. So get there.
So several times I had that anti-harassment order, I had to call the police and report incidences with her, and I have copies of a few of those.
Not interested.
And so the following...
I'm not interested. I'm interested in defamation and lost wages. And if you can't get there, I'm going to dismiss your case.
I had to select a different route the following year to prevent her from further tormenting me.
Okay, good. That's not a lawsuit. What else?
I lost wages because of that, because I didn't take that route because she kept calling the school district.
That's the way things go.
Here's a letter from his bus driver.
I'm not interested in a letter from his bus driver. I don't see a lawsuit, Miss
If you
Neville.
don't let me enter my evidence, how am I supposed to prevent a case?
I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me.
You just read documents that were not notarized, that I don't...
They're from school officials and a therapist.
The school official got fired because of what she did. Wrote that letter. She was not allowed to write that letter.
Listen to me. I'm not interested in anything that happened in 2003. This is not a therapy session. It's a court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're going to have to move. Otherwise, there's going to be constant
It's not all
aggravation.
that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Debbie Neville claims ex-daughter-in-law Sarah Hubel has slandered her at her job. Sarah is countersuing for harassment.
I'm going to hear your counterclaim. 30 seconds. Get there.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as of this year, a couple weeks ago, she just had taken me to court again, trying to get an anti-harassment order for me. It was denied. This was the second order that she had tried to get against me that was denied. I'm continually having to go into court because of her allegations.
Where do you live?
I live in Seattle.
Which she moved right next door to me. Why she had the restraining order, she moved right up the street from me, right on top of my bus route, just so she could watch me come and go.
Where does your former husband live?
He also lives in Seattle.
How far away from you?
Well, actually, they just moved. Maybe about a mile from where I live.
Seattle's a big place. Why don't you move farther away from them?
I don't move farther away from them because my son goes to school there. He has gone to school there since kindergarten. I work right across the street from my son's school. I live right down the road.
Who else
That's
lives
where
with
it's
you
always
now, Miss
been.
Hubel?
Christopher Crippen.
Who is he?
My boyfriend.
Does he work?
Yes.
How long was the custody battle that you had with your former husband?
2.5 years.
Did he want custody?
No.
So he wanted visitation?
Just visitation.
Does he have visitation now?
Not any longer.
When was that terminated?
In March of 2003, right after the assault, I went to the court to get a protection order for my son to ask for supervised visitation. And Josh denied in open court that he wanted to have any visitation with Jeffrey if it had to be...
Supervised?
Supervised.
So are you telling me that he hasn't seen his son since March of 2003?
Correct.
Is he living with you?
He is.
Very sad family case.
Yes, it is.
But one thing you seem to be both accomplishing is you're both accomplishing making this little boy crazy.
Excuse me.
You got to get over it, both of you.
I've never even...
You don't have a lawsuit. This case is this is not a lawsuit. This is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is.
You're causing each other aggravation. You have to stop.
Correct. But she won't stop.
I have the feeling, Miss Neville, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that if you had nothing to do with her, nothing to do with her,
You know
your
what?
problems would be over. I can understand why you're angry. I can understand.
Excuse me.
I can understand why you're angry. You have a son who's ill, who, according to you, has cancer, takes medication.
No, it's not according
who's
to me.
been
I
in
have the
jail.
doctor's
I'm
reports right
speaking.
here.
You're not
But
following.
you're making
Yeah,
statements.
you are over here.
But
You're not getting it.
It's not according to me. Here's some documents.
I agree with you. I accept the fact that he's ill.
And I don't call her job. I don't follow her around. I don't do that.
I have a
statements-
feeling, Miss Neville,
I have
that
statements
Miss
from-
Hubel would like.
My witness can testify to her following me into the store, staying outside, waiting for me to come out of the store, and chasing me out of the parking lot. I've had her push a grocery cart into my leg.
You shouldn't have anything to do with each other. You shouldn't be
I
near
try
each
not
other.
to.
Honor, I thought it was supposed to be my turn to be giving my statements.
What I'm trying to do is to tell you, neither one of you has a lawsuit. You have created aggravation for each other.
What have I done to her? Excuse me, tell me. Do you have documentations of what have I called your job? Have I gone to your place of work? I avoid your place of work. My friends avoid you. The whole community avoids you because they're scared of you. They're
Miss
scared
Neville?
if you get done tired being mad at me that they're going to stalk them. I have witnesses would not come because they're scared of her.
Well, it's
I
gonna-
lost
one-
business in my
one-
art because of her.
One way or another, if you want to live in peace, you're going to have to relocate.
Yes.
That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to move out of Seattle. And if you don't do it, then you're just prolonging this bad feeling because she has a grown son who has an illness. That makes her feel bad as a mother. She has a grown son who probably says to her that he's sad because he can't see his son. That makes her feel protective. Do you understand? There's a story which is the underpinning of this
Actually, my son
of
said
this lawsuit. You're going to have to move. And the faster you do it, the faster you're going to be able to enjoy your life. Do you get it?
Yes.
Otherwise, there's going to be constant
It's not all
aggravation.
that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Your son's 9 years old. It's not as if he's a junior in high school that he has to reacquaint with friends when he's a junior and he's going to graduate. He's 9 years old. He'll adjust to a new school. You want peace? Move. Lawsuit's dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out, ma'am. Wait here.
19-year-old student Ashley Weiss is suing her ex-fiancé, 20-year-old parking attendant David Sellers, for a cell phone bill. David says he let Ashley keep the engagement ring.
Order. All rise. That's case number 18 on the calendar in the matter of Weiss versus Sellers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Weiss, you and Mr. Sellers were engaged to be married. You are no longer engaged. You are no longer involved. You claim he owes you some money.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers says he owes you absolutely nothing. And if you think he owes you some money, sell the engagement ring. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you become engaged?
In December of 2004.
Just in my own curiosity, when did you buy her the ring?
In December.
What kind of a ring did you buy her?
Engagement ring.
Cheap one.
Well, let me see it.
You wanna
If
see
you're
it?
wearing it, I wouldn't.
Little
Yep.
ring.
What?
Can I have a tissue, please?
Why, who's chewing gum? Both of them?
You gonna give me a piece of tissue or what? Thank you. You got gum? No. Cool. All right. Here you are.
Thank you. Oh, that's a very sweet ring. Tell me about when he gave you the ring.
He proposed to me on Christmas and asked me to marry him. He just said, "Will you marry me?" And just gave me the ring.
He handed you the box?
Yes.
When you opened it up, were you excited? Is not an answer.
No, I was not. I was hesitant and felt uncomfortable since he did it in front of his family. And I felt like I didn't have a choice of whether to say. Felt pressured to marry him.
Well, did you wear the ring on New Year's Eve?
I did.
Were you still with his family?
Yes.
Did you wear the ring until you broke up?
I took it off once I got home.
When did you get home?
I think it was January 4th.
When did you break up?
A couple weeks after. He wanted me to move with him to Oklahoma, drop out of school, and start a family with him, and work part-time for the rest of my life. And I decided that wasn't
That wouldn't
what I
have been
wanted.
very smart,
Yeah.
Mr. Sellers, for her to do that. How much did you pay for this ring?
$750.
You know he's entitled to the ring back, don't you?
Yes. He told me, I asked him, and he said I could keep it. But I think it's only fair if I give him his ring back, I get my money that he owes me.
Well, is that right?
Yes.
Hey, look at this happy ending.
I know.
Well, so that would be wonderful,
It
right?
would,
You wouldn't
yeah.
mind if you got back the ring and let's say you could sell it. She's claiming a loan, $300 loan because you went to Oklahoma. Is that where you live?
Yes.
It's her claim that this was a loan that she gave you to go to Oklahoma so that you could buy clothes and traveling expenses and that sort of thing. And you said, well, you went together. You both spent money.
Yes.
Is that right?
No.
He didn't spend any money?
No, he got kicked out of the Navy, so therefore he had no money because he was broke.
Well, where did he get the money for the ring?
That's from his old checks, like his previous checks, and he stopped getting paid once he got kicked out.
When did you get kicked out of the Navy?
December before.
How come?
Drug use.
Went AWOL.
Didn't like the Navy anymore?
Dishonorable.
Okay. Would you kindly give him back the ring? Now you have the ring. And you can sell it, right?
Yes.
Now, telephone.
Yes.
Let me hear about the telephone.
He didn't have any money. He said he needed a phone. I bought him a brand new phone. He said, I promise I will pay you back. I will pay for the bills once I get my feet on the ground and start getting a job in Oklahoma.
Did you get your feet on the ground?
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I had a part-time job.
So he never got his act together.
He did actually pay the bills for the first couple of months, but then stopped paying them.
And he canceled the service.
Yes, he changed, which also added a deactivation fee because he had to switch. He switched the telephone company.
How old are you, Miss Weiss?
19.
Who was this gentleman?
This is my father, and that's my classmate, Lorenzo.
I want you to consider yourself very, very fortunate. Because, you know, you could have actually moved to Oklahoma.
I know.
Working part-time, raising a whole mess of kids, no education. Got to look up and say, thank you, God. You were watching over me. All it cost you was a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you pay your own phone bill?
For a couple months.
What happened?
Well, I lost
Well
my
is not an
job.
answer, Mr. Sellers.
I lost my job and I couldn't pay for it, and I tried to pay half of it, but it was up to $300, and I paid $150 of it. So I just never got around to pay the rest of it.
Well, you think that that's right, or you agreed to pay for it?
It's not right.
Now you got the ring. You're going to sell the ring. How much do you owe her for the phone bill that you didn't pay?
I'm not really sure how much exactly.
Well,
Over
she's going to tell me.
$500.
What?
Over $500.
Really? Let
Yes.
me see.
I don't have the bills. I know.
Listen to me, my dear.
Yes.
You filed a complaint in which you say that you loaned him $300 that he used for these travel necessities,
Yes.
which I'm discounting. Put
Okay.
your hand down, sir. You can't help her. She's
Sorry,
got to
Your
do
Honor.
this mess by herself. She's got to get out of it by herself. Maybe she'll learn a good lesson if she gets out of it by herself. So, you have to get the bills. You don't have the bills. How am I supposed to know? He doesn't know what the phone bill is, and you don't know what the phone bill is. That's the first thing that you know. You come to court, and you're supposed to have evidence. If you don't have evidence, I can't help you. Now, you changed phone carriers.
Yes.
Do you know that there's a penalty for that?
No, I did not know that.
He knew.
What was the fee for disconnecting the service?
$175.
Does that sound about right, Bert?
Sounds about right to me.
And I assume, again, you do not have any proof of that. What did you come here with other than your smile?
I don't know.
I don't understand. I really don't understand, Miss Weiss. You want to say something, sir? You're dying to say something, so stand up. I mean, you are the responsible person. You're the person who's been through life, who has certain life experiences. You know when you come to court, you come with...
Evidence, Your Honor.
So?
We attempted to get a copy of the phone bill because of the other party lived in Oklahoma. The phone bill came to Oklahoma and never came to our house in San Diego. There was a $405 balance on the phone and a $175 cancellation fee that Verizon's coming after us for. And we feel that the other party should pay for the phone because he used it.
I absolutely agree with you,
But
sir.
we don't have evidence.
It's the evidence. How much do you believe you owe her on the telephone bill? I'm trying to be as fair to you, Miss Weiss, as I can. You're young, not too swift. How much do you think you owe, Mr. Sellers?
All of it.
How much?
600 and however much.
She didn't say it was $600, Mr. Sellers. I mean, it's absolutely impossible for me to fly blind. You said the phone bill was $500. He said, I owe all of it $600. I mean, it's stupid. It just changed. Take the ring out of your pocket. Then you put it in the other pocket. Dig deeper. Bird, would you give her back the ring, please? Just changed my mind. Now, Miss Weiss, this is what you're going to do. He got taken when he spent $700 for that ring, but there's no question in my mind that you could probably sell it for $3. So sell the ring. I'm going to give you $250 in addition to the ring to help defray the cost of this phone bill. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that fair, sir?
Yes.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's broke, no education, no job. Basically, what was there good about it?
We really don't talk to each other anymore.
He's stupid.
She agreed to it. It was her idea, too.
Don't be nice and don't help out someone when they're not going to help you out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Whitmer versus Griffin. Step forward, please.
28-year-old hairdresser Lori Whitmer is suing her ex-boyfriend, ambulance builder DeJuan Griffin, for loans to pay his court fines and to reinstate his driver's license.
Miss Whitmer, it is your claim that Mr. Griffin owes you some money for court-related matters.
That is correct.
Mr. Griffin says that everything that you ever gave him, they were gifts.
Gifts.
Gave him, and there were no loans. There was never any intention to repay you, nor an agreement to repay you. When did you meet him?
December 2003 through some friends of mine at a party that we were having.
And when did you make the first loan?
Well, we were seeing each other up until September of 2004. We were still talking, you know, on an on-off basis, and then I got a call.
So you were casually seeing each other? You never lived together? There was never any discussion of marriage? It was just a casual relationship?
Yes.
Okay. September 2004.
I had gotten a call. He was locked up in jail.
For what?
Driving without a license.
You were locked up for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you locked up?
5 months.
Shh. Please. Mr. Griffin, that's impossible, sir.
It's not impossible. That's why I was there.
Well, why don't you tell me the story of how you got locked up for 5 months for driving without a license?
Well, I had warrants for tickets that I hadn't paid.
Ah, now we're getting somewhere. So you had outstanding warrants for what kind of tickets?
Driving without a license.
How many, please? I don't want to have to say it again. Don't make my job any more difficult. How many times were you stopped for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Maybe 3, 4.
You don't learn?
Yeah, I do learn. I have a driver's license now since I got out.
Well, how old were you the first time you got stopped for driving without a license?
19.
And why didn't you have a license?
Because they were suspended.
What was the reason your license was suspended?
Because I had a speeding ticket that I didn't pay.
All right. You see how we're going to get to this? You see how we're understanding each other now, Mr. Griffin? So you didn't spend 5 months in jail because you were stopped for driving with a suspended license, because they don't do that in this country. They do it, sir, if you get caught 5, 6, 7 times driving without a license, and you've got outstanding warrants for speeding tickets which you didn't pay, and outstanding warrants for the other driving while suspended that you didn't respond to, then eventually the criminal justice system has it up to here with you. And that's what happened, right?
Right.
Good. So you were an habitual person who flaunted the criminal justice system by not showing up, by not paying your fines, and by continuing to drive without a license.
I wasn't habitual.
Habitual means that you do it all the time, sir, and habitual is what you were.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money?
Because she has my 2 sons. She needs whatever she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Whitmer says ex-boyfriend DeJuan Griffin owes for loans to pay court fines after his 6th arrest for driving on a suspended license.
Now, how much did you put up for him to get out of jail?
$947.
That was bail?
No, he was in a work release base, so they were taking money out weekly towards those fines, and then this was towards like a one lump sum so that he can get his license back and to get out sooner.
Okay, now I want you to think back when you went to court, because you were picked up on warrants periodically, is that right?
I have been before.
And you remember going before the judge?
Yes.
And you remember telling the judge that you were going to come back to court, you weren't going to warrant anymore, right?
Yeah.
And you remember telling the judge that you wouldn't drive anymore with a suspended license?
Yes.
How many times did you tell that to judges when they picked you up?
Like I said, I've been there 3 or 4 times.
So each time you told that to the judge that you were going to report to court, and that was a lie, because you didn't, because you had warrants, right?
Right.
And you said that you would not drive with a suspended license. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you continued to drive with a suspended license, right?
Yep.
So you lied to the judge.
Yeah.
And when you lied to the judge, Mr. Griffin, you had previously raised your right hand and sworn to tell the truth. Is that right?
Right.
But you didn't tell the truth, right?
It wasn't intentional, but that's the way it worked out.
You mean somebody drugged you and put you behind the wheel of a car, Mr. Griffin?
No.
You mean at the time that you made the statements to the court, you intended to keep your promise?
Yes.
But some little men that play in your head, you know, they forced you to get behind the wheel of a car and break your promise.
I had to go to work. I had no other way to get there. I have kids to take care of.
You have children to take care of. Do you live with your children?
No.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
6 and 7.
And you pay child support, sir?
Yep.
How much child support do you pay?
$77 a week.
They take it out of your salary?
Yep.
When you were in jail for 5 months on work release, how much did they take out of your salary for child support?
They didn't, but...
Right. So for 5 months, your kids sort of went on hiatus.
No. I was out every day. I paid myself. I gave money to my children's mom.
How much did you give her?
Probably $2,000, $3,000.
You believe that?
I don't know.
Mr. Griffin, there is no question that Miss Whitmer bailed you out so that you could get out. And then she gave you some more money. How much more money did she give you, Mr. Griffin?
$600 maybe.
How much?
$390.
And what was that for, Miss Whitmer?
To help him reinstate his license.
And how did that come about that he needed another $390?
March 3rd, he came to my job. He was dropped off, and he asked me if I would drive him to go to this insurance company to reinstate it.
What did you go to her for?
Because she offered to pay it for me.
When had you called her to tell her you were coming, and could she make a gift to you of this $390? When had you called her?
She'd known for months that...
Don't tell me what she knew. I asked you when you called her, because you wouldn't have gone there, sir.
That morning.
Did he call you that morning?
I believe so that morning, but I didn't know he was coming to my job.
What did he say when he called you in the morning?
That he was wanting to go take his test and just the appointment times and stuff like that, but he didn't say he was being dropped off to go and reinstate it.
He didn't say anything about money?
Not that I recall, no.
When you got there, Mr. Griffin, to her job, she drove you to pay this money?
Yeah, but to say that I just came there and out of the blue sprung up, I need some money when we're at the insurance company, that's not the way it happened.
Well, tell me how it happened, Mr. Griffin.
She knew I didn't have all the money. I called her and told her.
What did you call her and tell her for?
Because she was willing to help me pay it.
No. Why did you call her and tell her?
Because I needed more money.
Why didn't you get another job?
Why didn't I get another job?
That was my question.
I didn't need another job.
You did need another job if you didn't have more money.
I didn't need another job because she was willing to pay for it.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money? She's closer to you. You made 2 babies with her.
Because she has my 2 sons, she needs whatever that she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Who do you live with?
I take care of my 2 sons and a sick mom of mine.
Just a second. You have 2 children?
2 boys,
How old are they?
5 and 2.
Mr. Griffin, are you a lowlife?
No way.
Yes, you are. Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
let me tell you why you're a lowlife. Because you just said to me, Mr. Griffin, the mother of my 2 children needs all the money that she can get because she takes care of my 2 children.
What's wrong
So
with that?
that's why I'm not calling her. Why do you think, sir, that this young lady who has 2 children needs money any less than the mother of your 2 children?
Because she was always willing to give it to me.
You're a lowlife.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
And a taker. And I don't see what she sees in you, sir. Certainly it's very well hidden to me. But you owe her $1,337 because she bailed you out. Next time, if you need money, Mr. Griffin, get another job. You're supposed to do the right thing, and you're not supposed to take advantage of people. Do I make myself clear, sir?
Sure.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Plaintiff Alice Moore is suing her niece, office manager Kimberly Kayla, for having her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly is countersuing, claiming Alice broke her arm.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 22 on the calendar, the matter of Moore versus Kayla.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ooh, family that certainly does not get along well. Miss Moore, the defendant is your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that she had you falsely arrested for assaulting her last year during the time that your mother was ill and dying.
Yes, ma'am.
You went through a trial recently and were acquitted.
Yes,
Found
ma'am.
not guilty. And you're suing her for the false arrest and for the year that you spent facing these charges. The defendant says that the charges were true and that she is counterclaiming for her injuries. Her injuries, I believe, were broken arm.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your mother ill last year?
My mother became ill early in January, but she really got bad in March of, it was 2003.
And when did this incident occur with your niece?
March the 10th, after I flew to Texas to be beside my mother who was dying at her home.
So you tell me your version of what happened, what led up to this incident.
Saturday afternoon, my sister, Brenda, had instructed me to give medication to my mother every 4 hours without stopping. And it put my mother in a very...
What kind of medicine was it?
One was a morphine and the other one was for anxiety.
Your mother had cancer?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of cancer did she have?
Cancer of the liver.
So the morphine was prescribed to keep her calm.
Yes, ma'am, but on the prescription of the bottle, it says every 4 hours as needed. And my question was, that night, she was totally out of it, and my brother he was there that night, and he had to pick my mother up out of the bed because she could not move at all. And we did not give her the medication every 4 hours like my sister had instructed. And I had asked my other sister in the morning about the medication.
So that caused a problem with your niece?
They were all upset because I would not give the medication like that. But anyway, Sunday night, I left and went out to another sister's house to rest. And when I came, that morning on Monday, my daughter and I came back in the afternoon, and I come to the conclusion I couldn't handle seeing my mother's death.
Okay.
Because of my heart condition and my nerves.
Okay, you couldn't handle it. Okay.
And I was talking to my husband on the phone, and I told him he could reach me. I was on the porch, and I told him he could reach me out at my other sister's. Brenda got mad at me, and I don't want to have a consultation with my mother dying.
Why was she angry with you? What was she saying?
She just felt that I was there trying to take over, and she was already had said that she was going to come out there and whip on me on Monday, and I didn't pay any attention to that in a phone call that we had.
Was that over the medication?
Yes.
that so far, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, step up. Brenda, what were you angry about?
I wasn't angry with her. I was actually relieved that she was there to help us because we had had 3 months prior of taking care of my mother. Everybody was stressed out. It was a bad time. My sister had called me and she told me that the hospice people had told her not to give my mother the medication except when she needed it. I told her specifically, Alice, when you're there, you do what you need to do. I told her I was calling a meeting with the hospice people on Monday. The whole family would be there. We could all understand. I learned more about death than I ever wanted to know with my mother. And I didn't want to go through this by myself. I wanted my sisters there. I wanted help.
Right.
So when we asked for a meeting, she said 10 o'clock. My sister couldn't be there. She was so concerned about my mother and the medication, but she couldn't be there to see what the hospice people. We were doing exactly what they said, exactly what they said.
Which is medicating her every 4 hours and not letting the pain grab hold of her.
Right,
Well, and
right.
they told
That's
us-
exactly how they explained it to her,
Right.
to us. You know, when the pain kicks in, this is how she's going to be. Don't let the
Don't
pain
let it get
come.
there.
You know,
Right.
we'd been there with her. We didn't want to let the pain come. Nobody, you know, she was going to die. We knew that. We
got
wanted it to be peaceful.
I got it.
And that was my mother's wish, to die at home.
Kim, tell me what happened in the kitchen on the 10th of March.
Well, I was in the bedroom with my grandmother, and I heard them in the kitchen. And she's telling her, you know, you took her out of the nursing home. You shouldn't have took her out of the nursing home. She's going to die. She's going to bleed. You know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And they were telling her, then leave. You know, that's fine. If you can't take it,
Put your hand down, Miss
leave.
Moore.
You know. And when I looked outside, she was slapping at my mother. And another one of my aunts stepped in. Well, she grabbed her and she threw her down to the floor.
Threw her
Alice
down.
threw my other aunt down.
What's
to
her
the
name?
floor. Her name was Billy.
Go ahead.
And then I was, now of course I had walked in there in the middle of this, and my brother walked in, and she started screaming at my brother. And she was screaming obscenities that you would not believe. And she was, you know, then she started out the door, and my brother went out after her. Well, I went out after him. Then she coming out there, and she's telling me, you know, we need to just call an ambulance for Billy, you know, we need to just go. So I'm going back in the house, and I get the phone to call the police. And as I walk back outside, because I'm hearing screaming now back at the porch. And I'm like, well, I thought she was going to leave. She wasn't leaving. And it's because her daughter over there was telling her, you don't have to leave. They can't make you leave. This is your mama's house. You don't have to leave. You know, her daughter was put in the quarter. And she knows if you push her, she's going to lose it. You know, she has a history of violence and just psychotic behavior. And I look at her and I told her, just go. Just get the out of here. You know, that's why I told her, just get the... And I'm pointing at her. And as I'm pointing at her, she grabs this arm. And she pulls me down. Her daughter steps between us, and she popped my arm down over her daughter's shoulder. It broke this bone up here into pieces. They had to go in and put a rod, you know, have a permanent rod in the middle of my bone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was leaving and they attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alice Moore says her niece, Kimberly Kayla, had her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly says during an argument, Alice broke her arm.
What happened to Billy?
Billy was taken to the hospital also, and she had some sciatic nerve damage in her back.
She was taken to the hospital that day?
Yes.
Okay.
But Billy and I were both taken to the same hospital in the same ambulance.
What hospital?
To Spine Memorial Hospital.
Do you have a police report for me, please?
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay, Miss Moore, coming back to you. Now we're going to come to the point in this story where you're going to tell me your version of how her arm got broken.
Well, first of all, there was a consultation in the house, and Brenda held me and Kim, and I have a sworn testimony from the court where my attorney said, and you slapped her, and she said yes. At that time, she
Just a second. Who slapped you?
Kim hit me in the face with the telephone while my sister held me in the kitchen and would not let me leave.
Let me see the testimony. Oh, well, she says, do you remember slapping Alice? She said, yeah, I told you in the kitchen when she was pulling my hair and we were going back and forth. And you slapped her? Yes.
But, Judge, I could not be pulling her hair.
Just a minute. Don't explain. You have to read me the whole thing, Miss Moore.
Okay.
She didn't just admit slapping you. She said you were pulling her hair and you were going back and forth and she slapped you.
At the time she slapped me, I had my hands restrained by my sister Brenda.
I would like you to tell me how her arm got broken.
Well, from there, I went outside and was leaving. At that time, her brother stopped me from going to the car. He pounced over the porch and pulled his hand back to hit me. And you're looking at a guy, I wouldn't take my eyes off because he lifts weight and he could have killed me. And he said all kinds of things to me as I was trying to leave. My daughter stood in between us to stop it.
Okay, so your daughter got in between you and her brother.
Right.
Okay.
And as I was looking for my granddaughter, Kim...
Just a second. If your daughter got in between the two of you, why didn't you go back to your car?
I was going, but my granddaughter had the keys to my car.
Where were you looking for her?
Right there in front of my mother's house.
Well, you just have to look. How old is your granddaughter? Is she a little teeny girl?
Yes.
How old is she?
I thought she was about 11 or 12. That's what she looks like.
How old?
She just turned 18, Judge.
So she was 16 at the time?
15. She hadn't turned 16 yet.
15 at the time. Well, you're not looking for her on the ground, madam. Listen to me. If you're looking for your granddaughter who's outside, and the people who are outside, according to you, your nephew, and your daughter, that's 3 people. That's who you told me were outside, and you were looking for your granddaughter around that area.
And Kim came off the porch, charged off the porch with something and hit me in the face, and I could not see. I put my hands up, and I have pictures of where she hit me in the head, and I couldn't see at that time.
Just a second. Hold on a second. Show me the pictures that you have. I don't see anything wrong with your head now.
I had a goose egg right here.
Now, not according to the police report.
The police did not come and check me out at all or anything. I went to the hospital, to the emergency room.
Let me see the medical records from the hospital. According to the police report, when they spoke to you, there was nothing wrong with you, except you were complaining of chest pains. That's according to 2 police officers. Listen to me. That's what the police said you complained of. Not a goose egg on your head, not being hit on your head. They took you to the hospital for observation because, listen to me, because of the chest pains. What I want you to do is give me the hospital record.
I don't have that part.
Well,
I could not get that part in time for court today.
Well, that's unfortunate because you've had over a year to get that hospital record. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Your Honor.
Were you there?
I talked to her at 7 o'clock.
He was on the phone when I went in to tell him I was leaving.
She was leaving.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't.
My daughter, Frankie, was there.
Oh, I believe Frankie was there. You can step up, Frankie. I believe you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
How did your cousin's arm get broken?
By her brother yanking her arms. When she had my mother's head, she grabbed my mother by her left with Kim's left hand, by her hair, yanked her head over where she's completely bent over. My mother's face is touching the cement. Kim's brother runs from behind Kim and grabs Kim with his arms like this, and he's pulling her, and she's hitting my mother upside the head with the cordless phone in her right hand, and I grab at the phone, and Scott is pulling Kim at both of his both of her arms backwards. No one touched her arms except for her own brother.
Okay, fine. You can sit down. It's very unfortunate when everybody gets stressed out in a situation where...
What was unfortunate?
I'm speaking. It's very unfortunate when people get stressed and angry because somebody who's close to them is dying. And put the picture down, madam. Pay attention to me. The first mistake that you made was not listening. Your mother was dying of liver cancer. The instructions that you were given to give her morphine every 4 hours were the appropriate instructions. I am not a medical person, but unfortunately, I have been in situations where I know that you're not supposed to wait until you are in pain, as needed, when you are dying. You're supposed to keep medicated so that the pain of liver cancer doesn't take hold. So these people were taking care of your mother for months before you got there. And then you pay attention, try to get it through. And then you come to the scene and decide, this isn't right. The medication says as needed. I'm not going to give her the medication every 4 hours. And everybody is annoyed at that situation because you're sort of a Johnny-come-lately. They've been there for months taking care of the situation, making decisions without you. They took care of, they were the ones who were up at night, they were the ones who were feeding, and all of a sudden you show up and decide to change the rules. Big mistake. You weren't saving your mother's life, Miss Moore. She was going to die. I'm speaking. She was going to die anyway. The question was she going to die peacefully and not in pain ever, or whether you were going to try, your method of treatment was let her get a little bit uncomfortable and then we'll give her the medication as needed. Unfortunately, you made a mistake in your choice. I do not believe your daughter when your daughter says that you were beaten over the head with a phone, because there is nothing in any of the official records, including hospital records, which you had every opportunity to get over the last year and a half, that suggests that when you were admitted to the hospital for your chest pains, they noted bruising and swelling on your head that would be consistent with your being hit over the head repeatedly, according to you, and according to your daughter, with a cell phone. So I do not believe you were falsely charged. And I believe you broke her arm.
Oh, ma'am,
I believe
not.
that you... I'm speaking.
I did not. I was leaving and they attacked me.
Okay.
That's all I was doing was leaving.
You may have convinced you, Miss Moore.
I didn't care about what medicine they gave Mother. They attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Listen to me. I don't want to go any further with this, Miss
Moore,
because I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Speak.
I swear I did not.
Listen to me very carefully.
Where's the Bible? I took a lie detector's test even, and I did not touch them.
Your case is dismissed. Did you have any unreimbursed medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What were they? Unreimbursed medical bills.
I have $7,000 right here.
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
40-year-old medical transcriber Paul Hoke is suing the mother of his son, 43-year-old nurse's aide Deborah Mumbauer, for 2 unpaid loans. Deborah says Paul owes her for a separate loan.
Order. All rise. This is case number 496 on the calendar in the matter of Hoke versus Mumbauer. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Mr. Hoke, you and the defendant have known each other for a very long time. According to what the defendant says in her answer, you have a child together who is now 18 years old. Is that
Correct.
Right? Is that this young man here?
Yes, it is.
Who was sitting and slouching? Not very much like he's in a courtroom? According to your complaint, you made 2 loans to the defendant. She was having some financial difficulty and needed money for a car note and then later for insurance. The defendant says that there was no agreement to repay the money and she considered it a gift. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
How long haven't you lived together?
We lived together off and on for the past 18 years. I haven't been with her for the past 6 or 7 years.
No, sir.
Shh, don't speak.
93
Miss Mumbauer.
We didn't live
Miss
together.
Mumbauer. Did you hear me start to talk? Don't talk to him. This is not the time to talk to him. The time to discuss things with him is outside the courtroom. Who does your son live with?
He's currently staying with me right now.
No, he's not. He's on the street.
What word didn't you understand? I said, don't speak to him. Where did he live for the last 6 or 7 years?
The last 2 years he was living with me, prior to that with his mother.
Now, when did you receive the phone call with regard to money that the defendant needed?
December 19th.
Of 2000?
Right.
Were you at home?
Yes, I was.
Tell me about the conversation.
She had received a phone call from the credit bureau there saying she was late making her payments. I have loaned her money prior to this.
Just listen to me. Just tell me about the conversation. She said to you, she said, hello? You said hello. She
Right.
said what?
That she needed to borrow $150 to make her car payment, so they wouldn't take it back.
And what did you say to her?
I asked her when she would be able to pay me back. She was doing some babysitting for her daughter, and she was expecting a state check, and she was going to pay me that $150.
From a state check?
Right,
Okay, so you agreed to loan her the money?
right.
And how did you transfer the money to her?
I wrote a check, and I wrote loan car payment on the check.
You made the car payment directly to the finance company?
Yes.
He gave me cash, not check.
Show her the check.
Yeah, that was for 2000. That was a different time that I had borrowed money. That's not the 150 that I borrowed this year.
This is 2000. That's what we're
This is-
talking about. This is his case, okay? December 19th of 2000. That was the first time.
Right.
When was the second time?
The second time was on January 12th. She had called me the last day that her insurance was going to be canceled, and she needed to borrow $200. And I said, oh, God, Debbie, when are you going to pay me this? She said, look at Michael, her other son was on her policy, and if she paid the whole amount within 10 to 15 days, they would adjust the payment accordingly, and she would receive a check, and she would pay me the $200. And I wrote a check at that time. It says $287, because she did give me the $87 in cash, and I put the $200 in myself.
Okay. I'll hear you.
I didn't borrow the money. It was, to me, he owes me. I mean, we had a relationship. We have a son. I've helped him. He's helped me. That's how I saw it. And as far as my son goes, my son has been living with me because he threw him out, and he's only been there 6 months because he was put away. And this is really not about money. Actually, it is about money because that's all he wants is money. He's buying my son's love. He gives him everything. He just spends money.
I'm not
He wants
interested.
to pay
I'm
his
not
bills.
interested. I'm not interested in that. I have 2 checks here, December 19th of 2000 for $150. It was made out to your finance company. Did you call him and tell him that you needed this money?
Yes, I did.
Do you receive a state check for taking care of one of your grandchildren?
It's not a state check. It's a babysitting check.
From whom?
From Child Care Circuit.
Child care is the state, right?
I guess so.
Right, so you receive a state check. So when he says that you discussed the fact that you would be receiving a state check shortly for taking care of your grandchild, that's something that he clearly knew about, right?
Right.
Did you get a refund? Just pay attention, I didn't ask the question yet. Did you get some sort of a refund or adjustment from MetLife Auto Insurance?
No, I didn't.
How much was the entire amount of the insurance that you owed to them in January?
$687.
And were you paying that in installments?
No, I had money ordered for $400, and they wanted the balance because my son was on the policy and they didn't take him off.
So you were required to put in the balance.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
And that's why you called him. Is that right?
Right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $350. That's all.
Thank
Parties
you.
are excused. You may step out.
She's the one that's really the one that's money hungry.
He's the money hungry one.
I think it was funny. Them two going at it.
Her claws come out when you least expect them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Thomas versus Perrin, step forward, please.
43-year-old truck driver Dave Thomas is suing his ex-girlfriend, 32-year-old merchandiser Judy Perrin, for half of their living expenses and damages to his home. Jody is countersuing for moving costs and the return of a piano.
Mr. Thomas, this is the crux of your lawsuit, sir. You and the defendant have known each other a very long time, but only recently developed a romantic relationship, according to what I've read. You lived in what state?
Massachusetts, ma'am.
And you lived where?
Michigan.
It appears that at some point, the defendant, and you discussed on the phone, her moving in with you. She and her 2 children came to live with you. When was that?
That was July 15th of 2000, Your Honor.
And the idea was you were going to live together and hopefully marry.
That's right.
It didn't work out. When did she move out?
October 29th, I believe.
And your lawsuit seeks a lot of things, but mostly you want her to pay what you believe are her share of expenses while she and her children were living with you.
That's correct.
And also you say that she did some damage in your home while she was living there.
That's right.
Now, when she packed up her family and came from Michigan to Massachusetts, did she have a job?
She was going to be transferring from her job in Michigan to a similar position in Massachusetts.
When did you start working?
A month and a half after I got here, I got a promotion in my job, which they hired me back in. Instead of as a merchandiser, I took over as area coordinator for the state of Rhode Island.
Now, what was the financial arrangement that you're alleging, Mr. Thomas, with the defendant?
We had agreed to share the expenses, to split the expenses.
When did you make that arrangement?
Jody came to visit over the Father's Day weekend in June of 2000, and initially the arrangement was going to be that she needed 6 months to a year to move to Massachusetts, which was fine with me because I had already had a roommate lined up, and I just bought the house and needed to get some of my finances together. And she called about a month later, and the situation that she was in had gotten progressively worse, and she wanted to know if she could come sooner. And
you said sure.
I said, okay, if, you know, that's what you have to do. And we had agreed.
I don't hear about any agreement, sir. I hear your girlfriend calling you and saying, I don't want to wait 6 months, I want to come now. And you saying, sure, come. Tell me about when you say this alleged agreement took place with regard to expenses.
Okay, that was when we spoke on the phone about, we had spoken on the phone several times after she had gone back to Michigan when she visited for 5 days in June.
Right.
And I explained to her, you know.
Now, what did you say? Not explain. What did you say to her?
I said, we're going to have to, you know, talk about the expenses. And, you know, I let her know exactly what my expenses were.
Tell me what you said.
I told her that we were going to have to split the expenses.
Well, what did she say to you, if that's true, Mr. Thomas? What did she say to you with regard to, I'm not going to be working for a period of time?
She didn't tell me that.
Well, you mean you expected her to drive from Michigan to Massachusetts and report to work the next day?
No. She had told me that she was going to be talking to her superiors, her bosses, about transferring.
Right.
And I told her that was fine. I said, you know, I could handle things, you know, temporarily until, you know, she started working.
Oh, fine. Okay. Maybe that sounds plausible. I can handle things until you start working. Did she give you any money at all after she started to work?
Yes, she did.
How much did she give you?
She gave me $500 on one occasion cash and $350 on another occasion cash, a total of $850.
So what money do you want from her?
Well, as I stated, we had agreed to split the expenses.
Are you saying, sir, that you want money from her in this lawsuit from July 15th when she moved in till September when she started to get paid in her job?
I'm saying that I would like to be reimbursed for the expenses that were incurred by me from July 15th when she moved in until October when she moved out. Because I told her, I said, you don't have to pay me right away. You can, you know, you can...
No, you didn't. No, that you didn't say.
What
That you didn't say, Mr. Thomas. I believe that you said, we're going to have to work out finances, and when you get settled and you start your job, you were going to split the expenses. That sounds reasonable. And she came down, and she got settled, and she got her job. She started to work, and when she started to work, she started to give you money. Now you say you want the money retroactive to the day she moved in with you. That wasn't your deal. Your deal was, you said to her, I can handle it for a while. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Perfect. What about the damage? You want to go into the damage that you allege she did in your house?
Yes, I have pictures of some furniture that was damaged, hardwood floors that were scratched.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Thomas. Was this done maliciously by her? Is that what you're alleging?
I'm not saying that it was done maliciously. I'm saying that it was done carelessly without any personal regard to my property, as far as any respect to, the property that was in the house. I understand there's going to be a certain amount of wear and tear, with 2 children in the house. I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just an out-and-out disrespect.
Well, give me the month that she caused the first piece of damage to the house.
That was in July, shortly after she moved in.
Did you throw her out?
No, ma'am.
Did you say to her, here's the bill to fix it?
No, I did not.
Because you anticipated that this relationship was going to work out, and that's what happens when you have 2 kids in your house, and it happens. Now that the relationship didn't work out, you wanted to pay for the damage. Doesn't work that way. When was the second damage that you attribute to her or her children?
I believe it was in August.
Didn't throw her out, did you?
No.
You were angry. Did you say anything to her at the time?
Yes, I did.
What'd you say?
Actually, Jody was sitting right there on the couch with me, and one of the incidents actually occurred. Our daughter, Nikki, sat down on the recliner. It's a sectional sofa, and she just put her feet up on the coffee table and just pushed it back, and it just cracked the underneath of the table.
So what did you say?
I said, could you move it next time before you just sit down and do that?
Right. All right, let's get to the counterclaim. A lot of your counterclaim is nonsense. Part that you're asking for moving expenses, nonsense.
Yeah.
Just like most of his lawsuit is nonsense. You moved down there assuming that things were going to work out. They didn't work out. He didn't fraudulently invite you to come down to the house. It didn't work out. You say he wasn't used to having 2 teenagers in the house.
And a 4-year-old.
And a 4-year-old, so it didn't work out. You want him to pay for your moving expenses. No. Good. So I can eliminate that part of your counterclaim. Now, the only part of your counterclaim that I will entertain is this piano. What kind of piano is it?
This is a piano that was bought for me when I was 10 years old.
Big, little?
I've got pictures of it. 3 pictures of kids with the piano in Michigan. Now, with the countersuit, I did some research on the piano and found out the piano is worth close to $3,000.
You're not going to get any money. He's going to return the piano.
That's good. That's what I want.
Fine. But you're going to have to make arrangements for that.
I did that, and he filed a restraining order against me so I couldn't go to the house.
Fine, I'll prepare an order. You still have her piano, I assume?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Of course. You make arrangements with a moving company to come and pick up the piano. You do that within 15 days.
Okay.
Is that reasonable?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So the piano is to be returned. You bear the expense within 15 days. Your claim is dismissed, sir. It is without merit, as
Okay.
is the remainder of your counterclaim.
Yes, I'd like to... He made me miss 2 days of work going to court on ridiculous restraining orders. I'm a full-time student. I work a full-time job, a part-time job. I'm a single mother. I can't miss full days of work for restraining orders because he doesn't feel I should take my daughter to a certain babysitter.
Listen
He
to me.
doesn't
Listen to
feel...
me. I'm not getting involved with that. Is that currently a restraining order?
There is, in a way.
Not in a way.
No,
Either
they
there's
took
a
off
restraining
everything
order-
that I didn't want on it, and I said to go ahead and leave it the way it was because I didn't want any contact with him anyway.
So fine. So there is currently a restraining order that you consented to.
Right.
And for that, you had to take off 2 days of work. And now there's a restraining order,
So
which
that's
means
his-
you either consented to the restraining
The
order.
first time I did. The second time I did not consent to it. The judge basically told him it was ridiculous. And I still had to take an entire day off work to sit through court for this.
Was that a violation of the restraining order?
No, he tried to update it to add on the things that the judge took off the last
Just a
time.
minute. What did you want added to the restraining order, sir?
I wanted an amendment made to the restraining order, Your Honor,
That
because
said
she
what?
continued to contact members of my family. My mother, I have the letters that she wrote. I have messages that she left on my mother's voicemail, which are extremely inappropriate. I just wanted her to
So
stay
you
away from
wanted the order of protection that she consented to update it to include the members of your family.
Yes, ma'am, because she continued to contact
I
them.
understand that. You wanted it updated to include members of your family.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just take a quick look at some of the letters that you allege she wrote to members of your family. Look, the letter that she wrote to your mother, is this the letter she wrote to your mother? It's not a threatening letter. In the letter she wrote to your mother, sir, all she's asking for is the return of her piano. That's what she's asking. I can understand why the court dismissed your request to add family, but aside from the fact that they don't add family members unless they act as complainants. Maybe you didn't know that. But that's what courts are for, Ms. Perrin, to make a determination whether a lawsuit exists or not. Do you want the piano back?
Right, yes.
Are you going to pay to have it shipped? It's going to cost you a lot of money.
I will go pick it up.
Then you will have to be accompanied by someone if you go and pick it up. You'll have to make arrangements.
Police department.
You have to go with the police department. That's fine. Goodbye.
Your Honor?
What?
May I say something, please?
What?
Regarding the agreement that we did have, although it was a verbal agreement, I was just trying to be, diplomatic about it, and, I understood that it was going to be a while before she was going to be getting a paycheck. But I have over $4,000 of canceled checks here, of bills that I paid, and I have all the itemized phone calls that she made that are her calls, that I wasn't reimbursed
That I
for.
paid for.
Just a minute. Do you live with anybody now, sir?
No, I live alone.
You live alone?
Yes.
And she gave you, according to you, $850 for the 2 months she was there.
3.5 months. That's correct.
No, not 3.5 months, sir. Your agreement was not for the first at least month and a half that she lived there. Because you said to her, I can take care of it until you start working. Do you understand what I said?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Thank you.
You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Gibbs versus Edwards. Step forward, please.
17-year-old supermarket clerk Noelle Gibbs and her father Stanley Gibbs are suing 21-year-old Alex Edwards for the shoes she bought him. Alex says Noelle had a crush on him and the shoes were a gift.
Mr. Gibbs, why don't you tell me, sir, why you are suing this gentleman for $140.70?
Yes, Your Honor. My daughter is under the age of 18. She's 17 years old.
That's you.
It's Noelle. And so I originally filed a suit ad litem as a guardian, being that she's underage. So the reason...
What is this for, sir?
The suit is for a pair of shoes that was purchased by my daughter from Sports Chalet in Valencia store for Mr. Edwards as a loan.
Why did you purchase a pair of shoes for him, Noelle?
He was hinting around that he needed a pair of shoes.
Where do you know him from?
He works at the store right next to where I work. I work at Thrifty's, he works at Bond's.
Are you friends?
Well, yeah.
No.
We were friends, yes, we were.
Order.
He hinted around that he didn't have the money for the shoes and that he had them on hold at Sports Chalet. And I said, well, I could loan you the money, and you could pay me back. And he said, first he said no, then the next day he goes, okay, and yes, he would. I can go get the shoes for him.
Is that what happened, sir?
No.
Well, let me hear what happened.
She's been harassing me she's had this high school crush for about 9 months. I made up every excuse in the world not to go out with her. She buys me some shoes. Right after she hands me the shoes, my witness is right here. She says, will you go out with me? I said, no. I said, I only have $4. Then she goes, I'll pay. I don't like her. I've never been her friend. I don't go by and see her. She comes by and sees me. I don't bother her.
Are those the shoes?
Yeah. Here.
Just a
No,
second.
they're not. Those are not the shoes.
There.
Those are not the
No,
shoes?
they're not.
Hand them back.
Just a second. She bought your shoes.
These are the ones I got in the box.
Are they your size?
Yes.
How did she know your size?
I think she asked me, actually. Yeah.
Well, tell me the circumstances surrounding her asking you about your shoe size.
She's always asked me if I'd go out with her. She finally got her truck back from her dad. So I said no, because I'm saving up for some shoes. She said, what if I buy you the shoes? Can we go out? I said, well, I'll think about it. So I did get the shoes. And I thought about it and I said no.
Just a minute. You still didn't tell me how she got your shoe size.
I didn't think she would get the shoes, so I said, yeah, I wear size 11 if you want to go get them. The ones I want are Sports Chalet.
Okay.
She comes to my job with the shoes.
Okay.
I really didn't think she would get it. I thought it was just like a joke. I didn't think she would really do it.
Okay.
And then-
Did you agree to pay her back for the shoes?
No.
He didn't agree to pay you back for the shoes.
Yes, he did.
Well, there's no question. He got the shoes. The only question is, were they a gift or were they a loan?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Do you, sir, make it clear to me that you have no interest romantically in this young lady? Is that right?
I'm not her friend. I'm not nothing.
Just
I never
listen.
liked her, nothing.
Hey,
Okay,
right?
yes.
By accepting a gift from her, assuming it was a gift, you are encouraging her. Do you understand that? Oh, yeah. What does that mean?
You know,
do you Hey, do you understand that, Mr. Edwards?
Yes, okay.
And that's unfair. By accepting a gift, you did the wrong thing. Right?
I don't think so, not really. I mean,
then I'm going to
if my brother gave me a gift, then, I mean, do I owe him also?
Excuse me? Who gave you a gift?
If my brother gives me a gift, I mean, I can't stop her from doing, I mean, I couldn't stop that.
are you thick or what? Are you thick or what? There is a difference between your brother giving you a gift and a 17-year-old...
I told her many
Hey, you're
times.
talking over me, and I have a bad throat today.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
There's a difference between your brother giving you a gift and a 17-year-old who you know has a crush on you. You encouraged her, even by your own statement when you said to me, she told you, well, if I buy you the shoes, will you go out with me? That's what you told me,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And instead of you saying, absolutely not, you said, we'll see, maybe. Isn't that what you just told me, sir?
Yes, yes.
So you encouraged her. A, that's cruel. B, by taking a gift, you made it not only cruel, but there's a certain insensitivity there and greediness that I don't like. So you are going to pay her $140.70. You have the receipt for the shoes? Is that what the bill was?
Yes. It's,
$140.70. Got it? Good. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next...
On West versus Coppola. Step forward, please.
26-year-old Timothy West says when his fiancée, Barbie Coppola, called off their wedding 2 weeks before the date, she kept the engagement ring. Barbie says the ring was a gift.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Sir. Judge, this is case number 185 on the calendar in the matter of West versus Coppola. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. West, you want the engagement ring back after 4 years.
Yes.
What took you so long?
We were supposed to get married in 95.
Yes.
And so it took time. She told me we should get back. We had an agreement. We got together a couple times.
You were supposed to get married.
Yes.
Who broke the engagement?
She did.
Is that correct?
That's incorrect, Your Honor. There was a postponement. We postponed the wedding. It was something we...
Well, somebody had to say, I think we ought to postpone the wedding. Who said that?
We both did, Your Honor.
She did.
We both seen premarital counselors, and we were advised by the counselors that the problems we were having were not going to change within 1 month's time. We were
so
supposed
you
to be...
postponed the wedding?
That's correct.
Let's say you postponed the wedding. According to your complaint, sir, despite the fact that you postponed the wedding, I found it odd that you went on your honeymoon.
Yes. Everything was paid for. Everything was paid for.
So you figured you might as well?
Yeah, we were staying together. We weren't breaking up. We just postponed the wedding.
Okay. You are married to someone else?
That's correct. Almost 1 year next month.
Tell me, Mr. West, she's married for almost a year to somebody else. What took you so long to get around to asking for the ring back?
No, it's been asked for back since the beginning. It's been told it would be given back. It would be given back. We get together. It wasn't given back. I seen her in January of this year. It wasn't given back then. She might have been married, but still saw her at her apartment.
It was December. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ultimately, after you were seeing each other, after the wedding was initially postponed, you both decided, I assume, that this was not a relationship that should result in a marriage.
Yes.
Was that a mutual decision?
No, that was her again.
You didn't have a clue?
Your Honor?
You didn't have a clue?
No, I didn't. No, we had problems, but I didn't think. No, I didn't.
If you had, listen to me, sir. If you have problems before you're married,
yes,
you're supposed to think about whether or not these are going to get better. Usually they get worse, right? Usually the best time you're supposed to have is when you're courting and engaged, and it's supposed to be light and fun. The problems are usually after you get married, the little frustrations that you have. So you're not married now, are you?
No.
Just think about that for next time. It's just good advice. I won't charge you for it. He gave you the ring in anticipation of getting married.
That's correct.
Why isn't he entitled to his ring back? Where is the ring, by the way?
It's not in my possession. I took it back to the jewelry store where it was bought from.
You took it back to the jewelry
That's
store?
That's correct. That is
when?
correct. In '95, after we broke up, officially broke up.
Yes?
Yes, and I took it back. I did not want it, and I was never asked for it back. Did not want it.
Well, when you gave it back to them, did you just say, here's the ring, I don't want it anymore?
No, I took it back to the jewelry store.
Did you get the money?
Yes.
Oh.
Your Honor, let me just explain one thing, Your Honor.
Order.
Can I explain one thing, please?
Sure.
I purchased many of gifts from Mr. West, appliances such as refrigerators, televisions, VCRs, air conditioners, etc. I'm paying them for all my credit cards today, presently, still paying for them. I never asked for anything back. That was portrait of being married as well.
What about Mr. West? Did he have any expenditure of money as a result of this wedding? According to him, he did.
No, that's incorrect as well. Myself and my mother and Mr. West's mother did all of the arrangements. We had a joint checking account, which we both paid for deposits on the wedding. That was not anything he did solely on his own.
No, but you did it so. You
We did it together, so we both took a loss,
Okay,
Your
that
Honor.
was
We both took a loss.
until the time we broke up. It was a joint checking account and everything. But I've been paying. We've been broken up now for two and a half years. I've been paying since then. I'm still paying on the wedding, the $5,000 loan,
And I'm still
the
paying for gifts
$3,500
that I've
credit
given
card.
him in his home that he still has, Your
Okay,
Honor.
well,
Refrigerators.
listen to me. There's a difference between a gift.
That's what this was.
Listen to me.
Okay.
There's a difference between a gift and an engagement ring. An engagement ring is a gift that's given in contemplation of two people getting married. And that's different from a refrigerator or an air conditioner or a coffee pot or anything else. It's different. So then let's get to the answer to the question that I asked you before. You brought the ring back to the jeweler.
That's correct.
Mr. West, how much did you pay for the ring?
$33.27.
And you brought the ring back to the same jeweler where it had been purchased.
That
And
is
how
correct.
much money did you get for the ring?
$2,100, Your Honor.
Do you have the receipt for the
Yes,
jeweler?
I
from
do.
that? Could I
Yes, I
have
do.
it, please?
And that was in October, Your Honor.
Did you ever tell Mr. West that you would give him back the ring?
Nope, he never asked for it.
They told me they were giving back the ring when I gave him back the stuff from the apartment. She came and emptied out the apartment.
That is incorrect as well.
She came and emptied out the apartment. My landlord at the time,
What did she take out of the apartment?
everything, all the gifts that I did purchase for her, they were rightfully hers, so I let
Like
them
what?
take her. Precious moments,
That's
boxes,
it.
dishes,
They were
everything
mine,
she wanted.
Your Honor. Okay.
Hey.
They were gifts, so they were hers, so I let her take them. But the agreement was she was going to give me the ring that day. She went back out in the car with her mother, decided she was not going to give the ring back to me. And I closed the door and said she couldn't come in. My name was only Alicia, then she couldn't have any more until I got it. So she stood out there with the cellular phone that we purchased together and said if I did not let her in and get the rest of the stuff, she was going to pop a fever blister she got in Jamaica and say I punched her in the face if I didn't let her take it.
Your Honor.
So that's what I did. I opened the door, I let her take the rest of her stuff, and that was it. That's part of the reason why it took so long, because this is what I had to go through.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He called me an N lover is what he called me. So you tell me what it's about.
And later today,
That's usually cheap and easy to make a new baby. It doesn't cost you very much, sometimes just a nice romantic dinner, right?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 26-year-old Timothy West is suing his former fiancée, Barbie Coppola, because she refused to return the ring. Barbie says that Timothy is a racist and is only suing her now because she's involved with a Jamaican.
Did you go to the house at any time to retrieve any property?
Yes, I did.
And did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I did. This is my mom right here.
Mm-hmm. Step up. Tell me your name.
Hi, Gwen Coppola.
Ms. Coppola, You remember going with your daughter to
Oh,
the
yes,
apartment
I
that you
do.
shared with the plaintiff?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell me what kind of a vehicle were you driving?
My car, a white Buick LeSabre.
And in that
Oh,
car...
no.
That was incorrect. That was my
No,
car
I'm-
that I
I'm
paid
sorry.
for with the loan for the wedding.
Wrong. We were in Barbie's, in the...
We were in an Audi.
In an Audi.
That's
I'm
correct.
sorry.
Okay. And what did you put in the Audi?
2 bags of precious moments.
What's precious moments?
They're a collector's
Figurines.
figurine.
That's what I collect, and they were
And
purchased.
I bought the figurines for her.
90% of them.
I'm speaking to your mother.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And some things that, when my mom died, had given to Barbie. And that's what Barbie walked out of the apartment with.
Did you ever have, Miss Pola, any discussion with your daughter about the engagement ring?
No.
Miss Pola, I'm going to ask you that
Oh, you
question
mean-
again. Let's try it just
Go
a
ahead.
second. Let's try, take a deep breath. Let's try it one more time. Did you ever have a discussion with your
Yes.
daughter about the engagement
Yes.
ring? All right. At the time that she broke up with the plaintiff, tell me about the discussion you had with your daughter about the ring.
The time that she broke up with him?
Yes.
No. Not when she broke up with him. Barbie asked me a year later, maybe less than a year later, did I think it was right for her to sell the ring because she needed money at the time? And I said, sure. I think it's right that you should sell it. Absolutely.
Why did you think it was right that she should sell it?
That was the only possession that she came out of this whole...
Besides diamond earrings, diamond bracelets, diamond everything.
Mr. West.
That was what she came out of this whole relationship with. Besides ulcers and heartache.
Well, your daughter was the one who I assume ultimately decided that that this was not a marriage that should take place. She married shortly within a year after this breakup. You're the present husband?
Yes, Mom.
And you met him in Jamaica,
That's correct.
according to your answer. And also, according to your complaint, the defendant had visited Jamaica several times during your engagement. Is that
true.
right?
That's true.
Is that right? Alone?
Alone. With her sister and her sister's husband.
Just a second.
My
Is that
oldest
right?
daughter is married to a Jamaican.
Just a second.
That's why we
family
visit.
Just a second.
Okay.
But you had visited Jamaica several times with your sister.
And
Right.
her husband.
And her husband.
Who's from Jamaica.
And that's where you met him.
No.
Where did you meet him?
I met him in April of '96 in
Where?
Jamaica. I was with my mother and my girlfriend and her boyfriend and his mother. It was totally different, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, in April of '96, you didn't have the ring anymore, or you
No,
did?
I did not.
So you sold it before. Now, your mother says that you sold the ring because you needed money.
That's correct.
Good. Well, you had no right to sell the ring. I believe the plaintiff when he says that there was an agreement that if he gave you back the stuff, you were going to give him back the ring. In any event, whether there was that kind of an agreement or not, an engagement ring is a gift made in contemplation of getting married. And it sounds to me, even if I believe at best your story, that this was a mutual decision not to marry. Mutual.
Can I
If
say-
it is, no, say nothing. If it is a mutual decision not to marry, or if it's your decision, the woman's decision not to marry, in practically every jurisdiction, the ring goes back to the person who gave the ring, which is usually the fella. I mean, my feeling has always been different. My feeling is whoever decides that a marriage shouldn't take place, that usually is a good thing rather than a marriage taking place that's a mistake, and the ring should be returned. In any event, the ring should have been returned to him. I'm certain that at the time that the engagement was broken, he asked you for it, because it doesn't sound right to me that he wouldn't say, could I have my ring back that I paid $3,300 for? I don't believe that he didn't ask for the ring back. I don't believe that he didn't ask for the ring back, madam. You have a receipt for this ring, sir?
Yes, I do.
May I have it, please? Total value of the ring was $3,327. That's what was paid for the ring. The fact that you sold it for less is really totally irrelevant to me. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,327. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Guess
Back
what?
with you right, please.
Good always prevails. I'm walking away from here a winner because I got the best husband a woman could ever ask for.
And now the next case.
Party's on Gonzalez versus Sandoval. Step forward, please.
27-year-old auto mechanic Gabriel Gonzalez and his girlfriend Ruby Sandoval had a baby 8 years ago. Before they broke up, he bought a crib for their son. Now he wants it back for his new girlfriend's baby. Ruby says she doesn't know where it is.
You two folks have a child together.
Yes, we do.
Boy or a girl?
Boy.
How old?
He's going to be 9 on April 5th.
And I gather from your papers that you were never married. Is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Gonzalez, tell me what you're suing for and why.
Basically, Your Honor, I would like the crib back because I paid for it with my hard-earned cash. I bought it for my son. He no longer uses it, and now my fiance right here is pregnant. She's almost due any day now, any minute now, and I'd like the crib back.
After almost 9 years?
Well, Your Honor, I repeatedly asked for the crib when we first split up, and she told me to basically go to hell. Right now, we are having a custody situation right now, and when I had my attorney and filed the paperwork for the custody, I asked her to ask the judge presiding on the case, can you please ask about the crib? And she said, no, right now is not the time.
That's a lie.
And back in '95, when we signed the stipulation because the courts were behind, I asked for the crib back again. She said, right now is not the time. Let's settle the custody issue first, and then after that, then we'll go about the crib. Well, the custody issue is now dragged on for a little over 2 years now.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You each have the child half the time. Why is he paying any child support? Just because he's the man doesn't mean he pays child support.
Cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gabriel Gonzalez wants an expensive baby crib back from his ex-girlfriend, Ruby Sandoval. She says he only wants the crib because they are in the middle of a custody battle.
Let me just understand this. You each see this child, spend substantial amounts of time with this child. Is that
Yes.
right?
Right now we have a joint stipulation. He spends 1 week, 1 full week with me and 1 full week with his mother.
How is he doing with this 1 week on and 1 week off situation?
Well, he's not doing very happy. He wants to spend his time with me. That's why I've gone back to court, because the stipulation that we signed, he was to be back and forth 1 week. He's never really liked that. He's always wanted to stay with me. I support him in his school, his sports. She doesn't bring him to his practices. She don't bring him to his games.
Mr. Gonzalez, a child needs two parents.
I understand that.
And it's just very unfortunate that the two of you couldn't come to some sort of an arrangement where each of you could spend time with him. You know, this business of 1 week on and 1 week off may be nice for you, but it's usually not nice for a child. It's usually nicer if there is some sort of an arrangement where there is continuity in seeing both parents, you know. Monday through Thursday, you're with one, and then you sort of go off to the other one, rather than a total and complete break. That sometimes works when the baby is a year old or 2 years old, but as the child gets older, they usually like to have roots someplace. Has anybody tried mediation with the two of you and the boy?
We've gone to a conciliation court that didn't resolve nothing, and now, right now, as we speak, there's a custody evaluation. The evaluator has come out and talked to me. He's talked to her. There's also been a social worker involved, and we have a court date coming up in the end of October. And
is this your only child, sir?
yes, it is.
Is this your only child?
Yes.
Well, if this is your only child, and I assume that both of you are good parents, then I'm really sorry that conciliation didn't work, because it should have. Mr. Gonzalez, it's been 8 years, almost 9. How come you didn't save up for a new crib, sir?
How come I didn't save up for a new crib?
Yeah, if you made a baby. You made a new baby.
I understand that.
That's usually cheap and easy to make a new baby. That doesn't cost you very much, sometimes just a nice romantic dinner, right?
Understand.
Right? Okay?
Okay.
But you have to be prepared for a new baby.
Well,
Being prepared for a new baby doesn't mean a 9-year-old crib, Mr. Gonzalez.
Well, if you look at the crib, Your Honor, the crib did cost $800. She wasn't satisfied with just the low-budget crib. She did have to have the top-of-the-line crib.
Mr. Gonzalez, if you went to a garage sale and somebody was selling a 9-year-old crib, maybe you would spend $50 for it, sir. Maybe. Maybe. Come on. What's this really all about? Is this really all about a crib?
This is just until he's just rebelling because we're going through court and all that. He's just trying to get me in whatever he possibly could. He's dragging me to courts. He has brought my son out of school several times, which is not even right. He's supposed to be in school, learning, which, you know, he takes him out of school in order to put him in the spot between him and I and just see us arguing, which I don't think that's very appropriate. The child should be in school, learning, and be away from the parents' problems.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let me ask you another question. Do either of you pay child support to the other for this child?
He's supposed to pay child support, but he's late all the time. He hasn't paid for this month.
Is your arrangement, do you have the child 1 week and he has the child 1 week?
I have custody of my child for yes. It's alternate
Why does he
weeks.
pay child support then?
What does he pay?
Why? You each have the child half the time. Why is he paying any child support? Do you work?
I'm trying to get a job every time I get a job.
Just a second. Is the answer you work or you don't work?
At the present time, yes, I am working.
So you are supporting yourself. Do you get any
trying.
kind of aid from the state?
No.
Fine. Well, I don't understand why he's paying child support then.
Your Honor, I also
Okay,
pay for
but
him to
that's
go to
not
private school, pay for his uniforms, pay for his sports activities, football, baseball.
That's nice. You're his father. I just was talking about child support. If you each have the child same amount of time, you should each pay your own tab when the child is with you, at least up until now. That sounds fair to me. You understand?
Yeah.
Just because he's the man doesn't mean he pays child support. Parents pay child support. Look, Mr. Gonzalez, you going to have a new baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
Buy a new crib. This case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're right, please. T versus Chattel. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Jennifer Leporati says when she split from 28-year-old Sean Chattel, he kept the camcorder and still owes her for a loan.
Order. All rise. All rise, please. Your Honor, this is number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Leporati versus Chattel. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
You lived together for a while in his parents' home. Is that right?
No, I always resided at my father's house, but I did spend time at his mother's.
Did you ever sleep there?
Yes.
More than once a week?
Yes.
All right. According to your complaint, he owes you $350. $250 that you gave him to pay back some money for his daughter's school,
His son,
daycare,
yes.
or his son's school. How old is this child?
4.5.
Were you married to his mother?
Yes, I was for 4 years.
And when were you divorced?
About 3.5 years ago.
So how old is the child?
It's 4.5. He was 1.
He was 1 when you separated. And in addition to the $250 that you lent him for the child's daycare, you had purchased a camcorder together for $200. When you split up, he kept the camcorder.
Correct.
Your defense to this action, sir, is?
I have the camcorder, yes.
Okay. You have the camcorder and you
I've
paid?
always had possession of it, yes.
And she paid?
We went in on it together as like everything that we do together. We just, you know, we buy something, we owned it, and it just surprised me that she asked for the $100 back. So.
Because he decided since he broke up, it was his house, so it became his possession, no longer mine.
Okay, so let's take care of this $100 camcorder first. You weren't married?
No.
So you each put in half of the camcorder?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It was $200. You kept the camcorder?
Yep.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair.
Tell me why.
Because, for one, it was my idea to buy it. It was my partner that I bought it from, and she's, never even used it, and it needed work, so I had to pay for the work to be done on it.
When did it need work?
We didn't even use it, but maybe a couple of weeks, and then I needed to buy a new battery for it. The charger went bad, so, it wasn't even working. I paid for all that.
But he's forgetting to let you know that when we bought the camcorder, I put up the $200 up front, and then he paid me back the $100 for it.
Just a second. You say here in your answer to her complaint that the friend that you bought this camera from was a really good friend, and he was selling you this great camcorder for a rock-bottom price.
Correct.
Well, so why don't you think that you owe her half, which is the $100 that she put in? Otherwise, it seems very inequitable to me, sir, that you got the camera and she's got nothing.
Okay, I guess I look at it like if we were to have, we have other possessions together. Say she bought me a skateboard. Am I supposed to give her half the skateboard money back because she bought it for a gift?
This is not a gift, sir. I mean, don't you
Everything
understand the
we
difference?
bought together was ours.
This is not a gift. There's a difference between a gift and something you went into together. She put up the $200. You gave her $100 back. That means you bought this as a joint item. Assuming that you were married, it would be considered community property.
Correct.
Court would order it to be sold. You'd get 100. You'd get 100, or one of you would get the camera, and the other one would have to pay the other for half of its value. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's a difference between that and buying you a skateboard, sir, because you can only fit one behind on a skateboard, the last I looked. Right?
Sure.
All right, so $100, Miss Laporte, you have. Now what about this $250?
Well, when we were going out, I used to front Sean money for various bills, like his son's daycare, etc. or something
Why
that
did you
he
do
needed to
that?
pay. Because I loved him, and he always was responsible and always paid me back on time, and never had a problem with it until the end. And a couple weeks before we broke up, I lent him $250. Some of it was for daycare, and then others was to get him by until his checks came in from his clients. So I gave him the money, and then that following week we broke up, and he didn't pay me back on a couple of occasions. We met, we talked, he said that he would meet me to pay me back, and he never did. One time he told me he'd meet me at a restaurant. I waited for him for an hour. He never showed up. I called him the next day. He said he didn't feel he had to chase me around town to pay me back the money.
Does any of that sound familiar to you?
No, I mean, absolutely not.
Your Honor, I have...
Shut up!
It just
No,
really...
don't look at your feet. Look at my eyes.
Okay.
Does any of what she said about making appointments to meet her, to pay her back...
Yes.
Shh. Let me finish. Meeting her to pay her back the money. None of that sounds familiar to you?
Meet her to talk about the issue that she thinks that I owe her the money when I paid her back. That's what we were supposed to meet for. I felt it was irrelevant to even meet with her, so I didn't. And she didn't have a pager or a phone, so I couldn't call her, so I didn't show up.
I had a cellular phone on me that day.
Just a second.
Okay.
Let me understand something. Are you telling me, sir, that you behaved in an unchivalrous manner by making an appointment to meet her to discuss something and then decided that you didn't feel as if you had anything to discuss, and then you didn't show up?
Said, yes.
And then you didn't show up?
Is
that right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I did.
Good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. $350. Thank you very much.
That is our excuse. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
I'm happy he got what he deserves. He gets away with everything, and I didn't want him to get away with it.
I don't get away with... What are you talking about? Explain yourself.
Mommy bills you out of
Oh,
this. Grandma
give me a
bills you
break.
out of this.
Give me a
Okay.
break.
You know it's true. I know it's true.
And now the next case.
Parties on Ambrose versus Moronian. Step forward, please.
27-year-old actress Melinda Joyce Ambrose says hairdresser Anita Moronian made her hair turn green. Anita says somebody else botched the job.
Miss Ambrose, you are dissatisfied with the defendant's services that she performed for you as a hairdresser.
Yes.
And not only, according to your complaint, do you want to be compensated by having her return the money that was paid, but you also want her to pay for, let's see, $600 for what it cost you to repair your hair, another $1,000 or so for you to take new headshots because you're an actress.
Yes.
This better be good. Go.
Okay. I have a picture of what my hair... I've been growing out my hair for 2 years. I went to expensive salons to have them take care of my hair. Anita is a relatively expensive... She works at a relatively expensive salon. I had been seeing her for at least 7 months. I have a picture of what my hair looked like before she went and permed it. It's bleached hair. And I had put some temporary color in my hair.
Just a second. Let's stop. You sort of glossed over that. So you put some color in your hair.
Yes.
And then when did you call her after you had put the color in your hair?
The morning after, and I told them what I told her boss, and then I told her
You
exactly
spoke to her.
what I put in my hair.
Yes.
Yes.
And she said what?
That it was still safe to perm it and color correct it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want to tell me how horrible your wife looked?
Her hair after coming back from the salon was very bad. It was very frizzy, it was very damaged, it was orange and green.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Joyce Ambrose says hairdresser Anita Moranyan cut her hair too short, permed it, and turned it green. Anita says she warned her not to color her hair.
Just a second. Color corrected, which means you put something in your hair.
That was too dark. It was darker than I liked it.
So then you made an appointment, and when did you go in?
It was that morning.
And what happened when you got there that morning?
I checked with her again and again and again, and I said, I used Clairol. It's a version number 1. This is in my hair now. She obviously saw the color difference because she had been my sole hairdresser for 7 months. I said, are you sure it's safe to perm on this hair?
Miss Ambrose, why did you take it upon yourself to do a home hair color on yourself if you had been going to very expensive salons for months and months?
My hair turned out darker than I wanted it to, and so I thought it wouldn't be a problem for her to put basic rinse through my hair to...
In a second.
Okay. A basic rinse through to soften the color and to perm it. It's a non-ammonia, non-peroxide solution, and I told her exactly what it was, and I asked if it could be done. I was very clear about that. I mean, I asked her over and over so much that I felt paranoid, and she assured me that it was fine. She assured me that it was fine to do a color and a perm that day.
Okay, so what did you do?
I went in, got the perm done. It turned out stringy and strawy and awful. Most of the color washed out. Some of it basically baked in would be the right words. It stuck and wouldn't come out, and that turned kind of orange. There were parts that turned green. After Anita saw that, Anita looked at my hair. She told me not to see anyone for 2 days because it was really damaged. She couldn't color my hair that day because it was too damaged, even though she had agreed to at the beginning of that service. And basically let me go. She said not to touch it for 2 days and then to use a semi-permanent color, which is exactly what I did.
Just a second. She told you to do another self-help?
No, she said she wanted to put the semi-permanent color in.
Okay, so she told you to leave with the perm that you said was not good and not do anything for 2 days, and then you should come back to the salon for whatever corrective measures with regard to color she would do.
Yes.
And then what did you do?
And I left out a detail, is that she cut off most of the green and the orange, making my hair basically a couple inches shorter than it is right now.
Well, you wouldn't want green and orange in your hair. So then she told you to come back in 2 days. What did you do?
In 2 days, I went to someone else who was not her because I would never go back to somebody who did that to my hair again.
Miss Ambrose, you're talking as if this lady did what she did to you on purpose. You don't believe that she did this to you on purpose.
She told me,
hey,
Your Honor.
You don't believe she did this to you on purpose?
Not on purpose, out of seeking money and out of negligence, yes.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
First of all, she's calling, I mean, I'm not a better actress than she is. She's acting, but I don't know how to act. So she called the salon around 2 o'clock in the morning, left a message. I mean, this is not a normal hours.
2 o'clock in the morning? This is before you worked
brought
on her?
me in my day
Listen
off
to me.
do
Listen
her
to me.
hair.
Stop talking. Listen to me.
Right.
Well, I want to know about when you started to do work on her.
Not
with this perm.
She called that morning. It's my day off. She begged them to call me and have me to go and do her hair. In my day off, I went to do her hair. Tried to do a favor to her, and she's telling me negligently.
Just a second. What happened when you got to the salon?
She came in the salon. I came in my day off. I did her hair, what I had to do.
What did you do?
I permed her hair.
What kind of a discussion did you have before you permed her hair?
I mentioned to her, I said, every time you have a chemical process, anything happens, your ends might little damage. And it's very possible with the perms. It's always possible.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
She just said ends might have a little damage. That's like not 3 inches.
Your Honor, can I continue?
Yes, continue.
So I did her perm, but when she came, she had already green hair on her hair. Every time you have a perm, your hair shrinks because it's curly.
Of course, that's, you don't have to be a physicist to figure that out.
I didn't chop it, I didn't shorten it 3 inches. It's already, when you perm the hair, it's by himself, it shrinks.
So when you cut off the ends?
I cut off the ends.
And you told her to come back?
And I told her, I said, I cannot color your hair because she wanted me to color it. I said, come back in 2 days because a perm needs to oxidize the neutralizer has to oxidize on the hair too, between 24 to 36 hours. So I told her when she come back, I can put semi-permanent color. Since that day, I never seen her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I knew from the first day I met you, you are a weirdo. There's something wrong about you.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Actress Melinda Joyce Ambrose says that she could not go on auditions after hairdresser Anita Moranyan ruined her hair. Anita says she's not the one who ruined it.
In order for me to say to you, I'm comfortable with any of your allegations, you had been using this lady for 7 months. You put your own process on your hair, which you know if you're a smart lady, and you rely on your looks to make a living that you shouldn't have done. Clearly, because you didn't like the result of what you did, you called her. She came into work on her day off to do your hair, to perm it, right?
Apparently,
right?
yes.
Apparently, yes. So I assume that when you called, you were hysterical, that your hair was too dark, and that somebody could please come in and do your hair.
I doubt I was hysterical.
My problem is, you'd been using this lady for color.
Yes.
You started a process that you hadn't used before. You were going to get a perm. A perm was going to change your appearance because it was going to make your hair curly instead of glorious and straight.
Yes.
All right, so that you were going to do anyway, which would have required, if I read your complaint correctly, additional headshots, because then if you had curly hair, it's different from straight hair. It's also shorter hair.
That's why I only asked for 2, because in the year that it's going to take me to grow my hair out back to there, I'm assuming 1 headshot session would have had to have happened anyways. But I lost all the headshots that I had. I can't use them now. I can't ever use them again. And I'm going to have more than that done
So
in
then
this next year.
You learned 2 things. A, you should let a professional colorist do your hair if you rely on something. B, if you decide to have 3 processes on your hair, you risk your hair turning orange and green.
Your Honor, can I ask you to please understand
Sure.
one thing?
Sure.
And also, I'd like you to hear from my husband, if that would be possible.
What does he want to tell me?
How horrible it looked right after she did it, because he saw it.
Oh, sure, I'll hear you. I'll hear you. Step up, sir. Your name?
Nick Ambrose.
You want to tell me how horrible your wife looked?
Her hair after coming back from the salon was very bad. It was very frizzy. It was very damaged. It was orange and green. And I know how careful she is about her hair, and how she was very, very, very insistent that she told what was on the box of the actual label of the box of the dye she put on the day before, so that the person who was doing it would know exactly what was there and would be able to judge whether they could do a safe process or not.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a software engineer.
Let me ask you this question, sir. If somebody has a computer and they take their computer and they try, and doesn't seem to be working right, and they have a guarantee that goes with the computer, and they decide, well, they think that they could fix this computer, so they take a toothbrush and a toilet plunger. Say, I can fix this computer. I'm going to stick in the toilet plunger. I'm going to roto-root this computer, right? And then the computer doesn't work, and they bring it to you, and they say, hey, I got a guarantee here. The computer doesn't work. And you say, listen, there's an intervening thing here. There's an intervening thing here. You took this toothbrush, you took this toilet plunger, you try to fix the computer yourself. I don't understand why a woman who has been going to what she says to me is an expensive salon for 7 months, one night gets a bee in her bonnet that she wants to change her hair color, goes down to a drugstore and buys a box of something for $2.98 and puts it in her hair, or for $4.95 and puts it in her hair. And then she's so hysterical because of the way she looks that she can't even wait for this lady to come in on her regular day. She's got to come in the very next day and not say to her, listen, could you just fix the color for me, throw a rinse in, I just want to get it back, but comes in and says, I want my hair permed.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had here a dissatisfied customer.
Right.
Your dissatisfied customer paid you $125 for a process that she was dissatisfied with. Let me tell you what good business is. Good business is saying to a dissatisfied customer, listen, I'm sorry that you were dissatisfied. You've been my customer for 7 months. You've paid me for 7 months. You're dissatisfied. I don't think I did anything wrong, but you're dissatisfied with the service. I don't want you to be dissatisfied. I'm going to give you back $125. That's what you originally called for, correct? You said you called because you wanted your money back.
Yeah.
And?
She wanted more.
Hey! Some people are so stupid, they just don't understand. You said you wanted your money back.
Yes.
And if they had given you your money back, this matter would have been closed.
If it had happened right away, yes.
Good. Now it's right away.
It's not right away.
It's right away to me, madam. I'm giving you your money back, $125. It's more than I think that you deserve. I think that you contributed in part to having your hair damaged. You can't do one process, another process, a perm, and then a color to your hair and expect
Your
your
Honor,
hair
didn't
and
she
expect
have a
your
life-
hair to be as pristine as it is in this picture.
Your Honor, didn't she have a responsibility to tell me that before she did the process?
I believe that she told you that you were going to have damage
No,
to your hair. The fact that you didn't want to hear it is your problem. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $125, period. End of case.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next...
Visner, step forward, please.
35-year-old Mary Sauter met 29-year-old Brian Visner on a softball team. She loaned him money, and when they split, she says he kept using her credit cards.
Order. All rise. It's number 48 on the calendar, Judge, in the matter of Sauter versus Visner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Ms. Sauter, according to your papers, you met the defendant in April of
Correct.
1995.
95.
Began dating in May of the same year.
Correct.
And by the middle or the end of the summer, you had loaned him about $1,500.
Thereabouts. Probably more than that, but that's what I'm alleging at this point.
Why?
Well, I met Brian, and we really had a lot of mutual interest together in regards to softball and such. And
You met him at a softball game, according to the paper.
Yeah, we played co-rec softball together. Co-rec, men, women. Okay, half-half. All right. And during Memorial Weekend, in fact, we even went down to Chicago for the weekend and had a great time. Came back, and Brian really, truly, I knew was going through a lot of hard times. Had gone through several jobs, different changes in jobs. Brian has 2 children, great boys, and he was in arrears in regards to child support and is trying to get his feet back on the ground. And I truly believed at that point he was trying hard to get his feet back on the ground in regards to a new job.
But why did you give him money?
Because with his initiative, and I saw his motivation in regards to his job, that possibly, I mean, he promised to pay it back.
What kind of work are you doing?
I was, when I originally met her, I was working for my father in construction. And
That sounds as if it could be a long-term proposition. What happened?
well, we got slow, so I went on to started a maintenance company to do some work, and times were hard, but I never asked for anything.
You took?
No, I never asked for anything from
No, I
her.
didn't say asked. I
She
said, but you
offered-
took.
She offered, I took.
Okay. Tell me what you gave him.
Originally, he was asking for little amounts of money, you know, here or there. Hey, 20 bucks, 40 bucks, I'll get it back to you at the end of the week. Not a problem. I don't even have recollection of that.
Okay.
Okay. The first time really that he asked for a significant amount of money was the end of June. And in fact, I wrote a check out to him, which I have, for $350.
What was that for?
He needed money to pay his July rent in bills.
Is that right, sir?
No.
What do you mean no? It's made out to you.
She gave me cash. She wrote out
She
a
didn't
check, I
get-
cashed it, and I didn't use it for, I never said anything about rent or anything like that.
Well, what'd you use it for?
Just going out, doing stuff.
What else?
I mean, he didn't even have money to go to work, okay? So I didn't want that to happen, okay? Because for him, for his kids, you know, my good heart that I wanted
And
to
you
help
thought
him.
you had a future together.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right. You know, and things were going good.
Okay.
You know, that I thought that
Your
I
Honor.
knew.
Your Honor.
And so at that point, I extended out an Amoco credit card to him. And I said, here, Brian, now listen, anything that you use, it's your responsibility, okay? We're going to get through the tough times, but here's the card. I'm keeping track, you keep track, and let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
He went with it. He went all out on it.
You mean you had the Amoco company put a credit card in his name?
He was an authorized signer on my account.
Oh, okay.
Which ended real quick.
Not quick enough, according to your
Correct.
complaint.
Correct.
How much did he charge up on your credit card?
$700 on the credit card.
Yeah, okay. According to your complaint, there came a time when you told him, hey, Brian, give me back the credit card.
Right.
I'm ripping it up.
Correct.
Cutting it in half. You're not entitled
Yes.
to it anymore. Don't use it anymore.
Right.
When was that?
I threw an extravagant birthday party for him. Just a gala event. Blackjack tables, kegs of beer, decorations, food, okay? We were having a good time, you know, people were having a great time.
So what
All of a sudden, I looked, he's gone. He left. He left his own party. Left his van there, okay? And went with a bunch of his friends and took off.
Okay,
Didn't
so you
hear
got-
from him.
So you got angry, and that's when the romance was over.
Correct. That was it. That was the final straw.
All right. When did you get your credit card back?
The next day, I called Amoco, and I said, no more. All right? I called him, and I said, Brian, no more. And
But did he continue to charge on your credit card after that?
He continued to charge after I found that Amoco received a phone call, and he continued to authorize service on my card after he got my Social Security number.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Did you continue to use the card after she told you not to?
I went up to the pump to use it, and it was done. And I couldn't
Sir.
use it anymore, and then I threw it away.
Listen to
There
me.
was never a call
Hey,
from... Yes.
I asked you a simple question. After she told you not to use the card anymore, which was after your birthday party in July of '95?
Correct.
You continued to use the card.
From what I recollect is that it was not right after my birthday. It was... it had to be 3 weeks to a month later.
Had you been dating each other during that 3 or
Yes,
4 week period?
she had got me into a golf tournament.
After your birthday?
After my birthday.
Can I see the Amoco bills,
Yes.
please?
They
That's,
start from 7/21 on.
Yeah, my birthday's 7/18.
Sir, you used this card until the end of December.
It's when I got a call that it was done. That's when she called me to tell me it was done. It wasn't in July
even
or
according
August.
to you, sir, it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks after your birthday party in July. That would bring us up into August. You used her card big time. September, October, November, December. That's outrageous.
2-3
Why did
times
you
a
do?
day.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Well, it was wrong.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Friday night softball games, I'd go into my bag after softball was done, and there'd be $200-300 in there. In an envelope.
And later
Well,
today,
now you'll know better. You don't move in with somebody unless you love them, unless you're prepared to have aggravation.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. After Mary Sauter met Brian Visner playing softball, he borrowed money and used her credit card. They split. Now she wants the money back.
Why do you think you don't owe her this money? So far, we're up to $1,050.
Why don't I think I owe her the money? It's because she had done things through this whole relationship. The trip to Chicago was just I came home from work on a Saturday, and she called that Saturday afternoon and said, "You want to go to Chicago? I'm buying. Let's go have some fun." I said, "Well,
Fine. Wait, I didn't even talk about Chicago. I'm talking about the $350 she gave you for rent.
I have no clue what that was for. I mean, I don't think it was for rent. I really don't.
I don't care if you bought $350 worth of bubble gum with it. The idea is she gave you the money. What you did with it is your business. I'm
Right.
sure she didn't give you this check because you said, I want to buy bubble gum. She gave you this check because she said you were in dire straits for money.
I was really never in dire straits for money. I was always working. I always had money.
All right. I'm up to $1,050, madam.
Yes.
Do you have any other checks that you say
Yes,
that
I
you can
did.
prove? Debt?
Yes. This is the other check that I have this is for cash. And he went to the bank with me because he didn't have a bank account, and I got straight cash for him.
Do you remember that, sir?
No. No, I don't.
Remember what this was for?
Cash.
I mean, but what did he need the money for in June? June 8th?
Probably like what he did on the ammo card, cigarettes and whatever everything else he had. I mean, you know, if he says he's having money on his own, I have no idea. He went up to the, you know, I like to gamble too, but he's out to Mystic Lake, a gambling facility, when he doesn't even have money. He's probably using my money to gamble with.
Well, the memo on this, sir, is clearly, it says, for you for cash.
I make all notes on
I'm
my
sure
checks.
it does. She probably wrote it out, cashed it, got the cash, and put that on there. That's fine. I don't remember receiving a check for that. Or
You
any
didn't get a
cash
check
for that.
for it cash. You mean to tell me you have no memory of getting cash from her?
Not for that, no.
For what?
For any, I mean, I do remember getting cash from her at other times.
Like how much?
Friday night softball games, I'd go into my bag after softball was done, and there'd be $200-300 in there. In an envelope. I never asked for it, and then she'd put her name on there, yes, this is from me. So I'd take it, I'd spend it. I don't say what I did was right, it was wrong. But,
I've been a judge for a long time. What always strikes me as being interesting, for want of a better word, is that there are usually more women standing in your place and usually more men standing in his place than there are vice versa. Mm-hmm. When are women going to wise up?
I have.
When are women going to wise up? You don't know somebody 4 weeks and then give them money.
I have. I mean, I was like, I've been guilty of it for all my whole life. I was a good heart.
Your
That
Honor.
was it, and I've learned.
You ought to stop.
Well, believe
Your
me, I have
Honor.
a fiance now that gives me money, and we have everything together.
Your Honor,
what?
I'm not the first person that she's done this to. There's 3 or 4 other guys before me that she's done the same thing
You
for.
mean been very generous with?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this
Very
question,
generous.
sir. When did you find that out?
After I started seeing Mary.
In what? You mean in May?
Well, maybe a few weeks after that.
Few weeks
after the trip.
All right.
After the trip to Chicago.
Hey, talking. Few weeks after that, I want you to tell me how it came about that you found out that she had been generous with men friends before.
Other guys on the softball team that we played on.
And I usually don't accept hearsay, but the conversation was you going out with Mary and she's pretty generous with her money?
The conversation was, what did you do last week? And I said, Mary took me to Chicago. Well, she
Yeah.
likes to do that for the guys that she's seeing. She likes to spend money on them and treat them nice.
How lovely.
Your Honor?
Don't say anything else.
Okay.
Don't say anything else with the exception of learning the words, like almost like a mantra. I'm sorry I don't lend money to people that I know for such a short time.
Guilty.
Right. Guilty. Guilty. You owe her $1,500. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She said a lot of things. I took advantage of her, and I don't disagree with that. That's what Mary does for a living. She sues people.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम जी की हाल है उम्मीद को हूँ कि सब अल्लाह के हिफ्ज़-ए-मान में होंगे तो बात ये है कि वेलकम बैक टू योर ब्रदर्स चैनल अदील ड्रीम 01 आपने अपने भाई के चैनल पे आना है आगे वीडियोस देखनी है सब्सक्रिप्शंस मिलने हैं मुझे ओह माय गॉड तो आप भाइयों का प्यार मिलना है तो आज सुबह सुबह टेम्परेचर I can show you. सर आप दरख्तों से अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं ये टाइम है तकरीबन 8:30 के पास मीन आज टेम्परेचर +2 है जो कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में या इंडिया में मोस्टली विंटर होता है लेकिन अभी यहाँ पे विंटर नहीं है विंटर अभी जस्ट स्टार्ट हो रहा है जस्ट मीन तो यार इस ठंडे सुहाने मौसम में हमारी क्लिनिक की क्लास है जा रहे हैं वहाँ पे तो उसके बाद फिजिक्स की क्लास है यूनिवर्सिटी में वो क्लास अटेंड करनी है उसके बाद हम हो जाएंगे फ्री टुमारो सैटरडे एंड संडे इट्स आवर फ्री डेज तो अभी जाते हैं जल्दी 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 क्लिनिक। तो मैं ज़रा आपको दिखाता हूँ भाई लोग पहुँच चुके होंगे अभी तक। तो जल्दी जल्दी सीतापुर पे आ गए और हमारे इलाके से सीतापुर खुला हुआ है। सीतापुर यहाँ पे सिग्नल को कहते हैं रशियन में। 33, 32, 31,
अबे जल्दी बोल, कल सुबह पनवेल निकलना है।
30 और मैं गुजर गया। तो आप इससे अगर सीधा जाएं क्लिनिक, अगर इससे जाएं टोटल यूनिवर्सिटी, हमने सीधा जाना है। तो हॉस्पिटल एक तरफ होता ही सामने इमरजेंसी डिपार्टमेंट है। तो आई थिंक इस तरफ से एक गेट तो है, वे भी वहाँ पे हम पहुँच जाएंगे। हमारा क्लिनिक आ जाएगा जहाँ पे हमारी क्लास है। सो आई थिंक मुझे भी जल्दी नहीं आना चाहिए क्योंकि टाइम बहुत ज़्यादा पास हो चुका है। चलो जी, ये दरवाज़ा तो हुआ था खुला। मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ, ये मेन कॉर्पस यूनिवर्सिटी का फर्स्ट कॉर्पस, सेकंड कॉर्पस, तो यहाँ पे क्लिनिक चिल्ड्रन हॉस्पिटल। ऑलवेज की तरह मैं आज फिर सबसे पहले ही आ गया। तो अभी क्लिनिक तो ओपन है, खैर उनके आने का वेट करते हैं। मैं अपना जरा बैग शेग यहाँ पे रखता हूँ, तब तक किसी को एक बार कॉपी रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ जी। सबसे पहले हमारे पास बंदा आया, वो है मुकेश। ये तो सीधा बाकियों का भी कर रहे हैं वेट। तो भाई बैठा हुआ है, मैं जरा लेक्चर देख रहा था यूट्यूब से। चलो जी, हम आगे चलिए रूम में। यहाँ पे कोट शर्ट लगा दिया, बैग लगा दिया, सेगमेंट लगा दिया, कॉफी वगैरह ले ली। तो मैं और मुकेश वहाँ पे चले। मैं और मुकेश निकलने क्लास पर, क्योंकि बाकी तो हैं सभी लेट अभी तक। चलो लो जी, चलो 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 जी, क्लास है थर्ड फ्लोर पे। ये आ गया सेकंड वन। चलो 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 जी, एटलीस्ट क्लास तक पहुँच गए। बस ये क्लास है, उधर वाले है, उधर वाले नेक्स्ट वाले, ये वाला ना नेक्स्ट। अबे कितने रूम बना दिए यार। चलो जी, एटलीस्ट एक क्लासरूम ये, एक ये, तू तो परे हो यार। क्लास तक गए हम पहुंच। चलो जी, बैठते हैं पहली चेयर पे। आउटसाइड का थोड़ा सा व्यू ब्यूटीफुल सा। मैम बाहर गई हुई हैं। शेख साहब, आपने एमसीक्यूज कैसे किए? सही बताना है शेख साहब, एमसीक्यूज कैसे किए? मैम बोली थी वही लगाई। ये बंदा लेट आया क्लास में, तो ये बैठा हुआ था क्योंकि इसको मोबाइल लोगों की इजाज़त नहीं थी। मैम पास बैठी हुई थी, इसने किया ऐसे कि मैम ने सबसे सुनना शुरू किया और इसने वही बोलना वही डाल दिया। फिर तूने 3 गलत क्यों किए? मतलब पहले 3 गलत नहीं किए? नहीं, मतलब क्रॉस है।
ओके
यार मतलब क्या यार, मतलब कितना तू तेज है यार।
मेरा नाम है बुल्ला।
तू पाकिस्तान के कौन से एरिया से बिलोंग करता है यार? तो मैम ने बोला था कि सबको अपने पेशेंट्स दिए। ये आरिन है, हबीब है, मुकेश का पेशेंट ये है। तो वो शेख साहब लगे हुए हैं। ये मेरा भाई है, मेरा पेशेंट भी, वो इसको निमोनिया ना, इसको निमोनिया, उसको भी निमोनिया ब्रद थे। हाँ, ये चारों को निमोनिया और इसको अस्थमा है। तो इनको चेक करना है। मैम ने मुझे टास्क दिया है, तो खैर हमने चेक कर लिया, लेकिन अल्लाह का शुक्र है काफ़ी हद तक माशाल्लाह बैठ के अंदर से। तो ब्रीथिंग, हाँ हाथ रख लो, मोबाइल पे टाइम पे कर लो, तो उसको बोलो वो काउंट करें। चले जी, डॉक्टर से पूछते हैं उनके पेशेंट्स का क्या बना। अरे क्या हाल है, क्या बना तुम्हारे पेशेंट्स का? कक्तिला बना संजा जबरदा कक्तिला नॉर्मल। क्या बना आपके पेशेंट का?
इनको निमोनिया हुआ है, 1 वीक से इनको ये तकलीफ है।
तो अभी इनकी ब्रीथिंग ज्यादा है और
बहुत ज़्यादा है अभी, और बहुत सारी जगह डल है।
पेन वगैरह नहीं है?
पेन नहीं है, ये पहले से नॉर्मल है, अभी अच्छा लग रहा है।
सही वो बंद करिए, बांध रहा तेरी वीडियो बना रहा हूं तो अपने पेशेंट बारे रिव्यू से। हुसैन क्या हाल है? अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। आ जाओ अपनी लोकेशन पे आ जाओ। कैसा है तुम्हारा पेशेंट?
My patient is normal, but there is actually little bit pneumonia.
Little pneumonia.
I now I check by through palpation and by breathing, he is recovering.
Normal.
Recovering.
How much breathing he has? How much breathing he has?
29 at max fast breathing and 23 at normal.
A little bit more. कब की लेवल? Normal? हाँ, शुक्र। मुकेश क्या हाल है? आपका पेशेंट कहाँ पे है? यही आपका पेशेंट है? हाँ, 2 doctors at one place. तो हबीब,
चलो जी, मैंने भी अपने पेशेंट को पकड़ लिया। तो मैंने उससे पूछा कि आपकी क्या कुछ दर्द वगैरह होता, तो बोला नहीं। तो मैं उससे बोला तो यहाँ पे क्या करने आया फिर? खैर एटलीस्ट उसने बताया कि मुझे निमोनिया है, जो कि मैंने चेक भी किया उसकी लंग्स कैपेसिटी वगैरह इलास्टिसिटी मैंने चेक की, लेकिन उसकी लंग्स में स्वेलिंग थी, चेस्ट में काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्वेलिंग थी, मैंने फील की इस चीज़ को। तो फिर मैंने ये जानने की कोशिश की कि कोई जगह डल है उसकी बॉडी में या उसके चेस्ट में। मैंने फील किया कि वाकई ही उसका नमूनिया है, लोअर पार्ट ऑफ लंग वाज डैमेज्ड। सो मैंने उसको स्ट्रेट किया, बैक साइड से चेक करने की कोशिश की, स्कैपुला के नीचे, वर्टिब्रा के साइड्स पे, तो वाकई ही उसको नमूनिया था। मुझे कंफर्म हो गया, क्योंकि मुझे पहले ही नज़र में कंफर्म हो गया था, क्योंकि उसकी लंग्स कैपेसिटी एक्स्ट्रा हो गई थी।
शेकी वेदर पेशेंट को मैं सही से चल रही है, एक मिनट दिखाता हूं। चलो जी, पेशेंट वगैरह हो गए हैं चेक। तो एक बहुत मजे की चीज़ है, अभी क्या हुआ शेख के साथ ये बताना यार प्लीज़। शेख का पेशेंट शेख को हाथ लगाने के बाद हो रहा है, शेख ने इस पेशेंट को जाके चेक किया, वापस लाके शेख वहाँ पे हाथ धो रहा है, वो भी वहाँ पे हाथ धो रहा है। अजीब सी बात हो गई है यार। यूसुफ क्या हाल है, कैसी है तुम्हारी मैम?
मैं तो बहुत अच्छी है यार, बहुत प्यारी है।
तो क्या आप क्या पेशेंट को डरा क्यों रहे हो? मतलब
नहीं करा रहे, हमारी मैम सबसे
अच्छी है, अच्छी है, मतलब प्यारी की बात करने लगा ना, लेकिन कैमरे के सामने अच्छी बोल दी इसने।
ये डर गई, ये डर गई।
वो देख लो, यूसुफ के काम देख लो, बच्चों से खेल है, डॉक्टर मतलब या
अरे पहले उंगली, बीच में उंगली पे प्रकाश मार मार मार, तेज मार।
डॉक्टर साहब, मुझे रात को नींद में गधे और खोते फुटबॉल खेलते हुए नजर आते हैं। अच्छा, दवाई लिख देता हूँ, खा लेना। बड़ा दवाई कल ना खा लूं? क्यों, आज क्या है? आज उनका फाइनल है।
वो सामने है मेन कॉर्पस, सेकंड कॉर्पस में हमारी क्लास। ये भाई लोग सारे हमारे साथ। क्या हाल है, कैसे आपके पेशेंट हैं? बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया। अरे बहुत बढ़िया, अब तो बढ़िया है यार। पीछे से स्टेथोस्कोप लगा रहा है यार। A beautiful day has been completed with pathophysiology and children diseases. So आज का दिन गुजर गया पैथोलॉजी में। मैंने कैमरा ओपन नहीं किया क्योंकि मैम स्ट्रिक्ट है थोड़ी सी, तो क्लास में बंदा अच्छा नहीं लगता। तो क्लास में हल्की फुल्की चिल हो गई और बाकी क्लास टाइम गुजर गया अच्छा। चलो नेक्स्ट 2 days वी आर टोटली फ्री। आपका भाई व्लॉग डालेगा 2 दिन के सेपरेट 2 व्लॉग्स। अब मैं और सुरेश चल रहे हैं, सुरेश अपने घर और मैं अपने निकल जाऊंगा। तो हल्का भूख लगी हुई है, दिल कर रहा है कुछ खाने पीने को। चलें सोचते हैं, देखते हैं। बहुत सर्दी है यार, सच्ची बहुत ज़्यादा सर्दी है, मेरी फेस जम गई है।
Is it cold?
No, it's not cold.
Are you cold?
No, I'm not cold.
You're not cold?
No.
You want to get out?
No.
Are you cold?
No, no.
You're not cold?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm still.
खैर चलें जी, आज के ब्यूटीफुल ब्लॉग का करते हैं यहाँ पे एंड अप। तो फर्स्ट ब्लॉग्स विल बी स्मॉल्स, तो या 5-4 दिन गुजर जाएंगे, फिर बड़े बड़े ब्लॉग आएंगे। क्योंकि अभी मेरे क्लास वाले भी थोड़े से इनके शाय गाइस हैं, तो इस वजह से भाई फ्रेंड्स वगैरह भी इतने ज़्यादा नहीं। तो आज का ब्लॉग करते हैं यहीं पे टोटल एंड अप। तो बाय आपको आपके भाई की तरफ से। चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना है आपने, जाके कमेंट्स डालने हैं, लाइक्स डालने हैं। तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग माई वीडियो। बाय बाय।